Alright. Are we live? I sure hope so. Anyways, welcome ladies and gentlemen. Tactical Edge here. When we're back to the stream after last time there was an internet disaster, this time we have a new internet setup. I got some new equipment, and well, I say equipment, it's basically a new router, and hopefully it works better than last time. Also, well, good news is that I will be moving soon, so hopefully we can find a house that has a bit better internet, and we don't have to rely on the mobile networking data. But bad news is that I'll be moving soon, so with all the house hunting and stuff like that, I don't know whether I can maintain the same upload schedule. I will still try to keep the current weekend stuff, the BBB Season 1 being updated on a daily basis, basically one best of 5 match per round. But other than that, I might be slowing down on regular video upload. But yeah. So basically that's the news update out of the way for the channel. Yeah. Now let's jump into the first battle. And yeah, hope everyone is having a good weekend. Now this tournament is actually, yeah, it actually happened last week. Oh, it's been a long week, and my time perception has been a bit messy. Basically, General Eisenbart has been hosting a tabletop tournament requiring players to create an army using a fixed portion of the budget, and there's a little bit of margin left, like 3,700 gold worth of army value that players can freely decide what they want to bring. But for a fixed value of army funds, they need to be using that to employ a fixed set of army lists. So for example, my army here, my fixed army list would be a bunch of 3 Streltsies, if I remember correctly, Constelton with a few items that is also fixed, and then Oath Brothers of Tor, and also some of the Streltsies on armor, actually not Streltsies, Kossars, and perhaps some of the Dervishes as well. But yeah, other than that, I can freely spend my funds, but I need to bring all those fixed army lists in every battle. So yeah, basically same faction, a mostly similar army build, and a little bit of flexibility in every match. Now for my opponent here, Shogunuk, this will be a Skaven army. I forgot what kind of fixed setup they had, but if I remember correctly, it's mostly red ogres and a bunch of wolf rats. Of course, also a kick claw. And then for the rest of the army build, a whole lot of Skaven slaves, spears, a single avalanche mortars, and a couple poison wing globadiers. I assume the poison wing globadiers are also in the fixed army list. The Warlock Giselle, not the Regiment of Renown version, but the regular stuff, and also some Clanright spears at the back, as well as a single Ixchios Triad. Definitely a tough matchup for me because of avalanche mortars, really. One shot can obliterate an entire unit of densely packed Streltsies and whatnot. But yeah, this is gonna be rough. Now, let us start the battle here. We have Kossars pushing up. Can't really say much about it, unfortunately. I'm trying to wrap around with the Kossarite Dervishes, but then the firepower here, as well as the mobility, might be able to repel me. We'll be doing a bit of fast forward as the marching phase is nothing too fun. Oh, avalanche mortars already bombarding my ranks. I'm trying to do some weird maneuvers to weird maneuvers to dodge shots, but you can see that those unleashing firepower on the Kossars with spears, how devastating they are. Oh god, half a unit of Streltsies, actually 2/3 of a unit of Streltsies, that's basically gone. I tried to charge in some Kossarite Dervishes, but then a summoned unit of wait, where is it? Yeah, a summoned unit of Ixchios Triads came in to block me up, and I was not able to get it onto the avalanche mortars. I tried to push up the Streltsies to get in range and start shooting up the weapons teams, but unfortunately, the Kossars are taking too much damage to hold, and the avalanche mortars are just not going down, while my Streltsies are all taking massive damage. Just hurts. Just hurts, man. And Oath Brothers of Tor, as well as the Constelton, didn't really dare to push in too soon here because of the Warlock Giselle really aiming at my units. On the flank over here, the dervishes are breaking through some Skaven spears, but the problem is there's still a lot of stuff to work through, like these red ogres who will be coming in soon to stop me, and winged lancers being dumped into combat as well. There will be some dervishes charging onto the avalanche mortars while the winged lancers needs to be activated and shut down perhaps the poison wind or even countercharge the red ogres really. But then unfortunately the dervishes routed, their Bow Blood has long been disappeared, and on the side the dervishes trying to kite away the red ogres, just trying to drag them out of position, while the more winged lancers charging in. But again, red ogres here to intercept, unable to get a charge onto the red ogres. These winged lancers were taking massive damage. Oath Brothers, where are they? Taking massive damage from the Warplock Jezzails, and the winged lancers are plucked up by a whole lot of Clamorous Spears and red ogres, and they will be suffering massive damage. Now, in the front line, I managed to break through some of the enemy units. The slaves are basically fragile enough to just die, really. But yeah, wing lancers, not doing much here, unfortunately. They are charging into extra tries, and they will be cut down by their armor sundering, anti-lodge, and armor piercing. Oath Others are still taking massive damage, and with the Clamorous Spears here positioned away, screening away them, they will have to go for a detour before they can hit up the Warplock Jezzails. And finally, I might be able to get onto the Warplock Jezzails, but yeah, with a bit of healing and vigor refresh of the help of the Constantine, doing some massive damage to the Warlock Jezzails, but then being surrounded by red ogres and spears. This is not fun for them, especially when Cleansing Ruin has been draining away the health of both the Oath Brothers and Constantine. Now, at the back here, Kosovo dervishes, unfortunately being charged by a bunch of red ogres. They will die alongside with some Streltsies who have been massively tied down and destroyed by a bunch of avalanche mortars and Clamorous Spears. On the far side, Corsairs with spears unfortunately will be overwhelmed by Skaven as well, especially with the avalanche mortars bombardment, and that leaves only Constantine in the fray, as his Spiral Blood is still just activated and holding him in combat with Unbreakable. But then once it's gone, well, I'll be losing as well. Yeah, Kislev is not in a good spot right now, unfortunately. I wish they are better, but I like Streltsy as a unit. They even have some really nice animation with their axe attacks and all that, but yeah, it's just not great. Not great. Like, Streltsies, theoretically, if you buff them up with the correct abilities, they can even beat, like, say, Code 1 Riders from Lizardmen to... yeah, they can even beat Code 1 Riders with their armor piercing, but, like, Kislev has the kind of attack buffs, like, say, Frostblade and, well, you know, Taurus Battle Hymn, but the good old standard Kislev sanctioned national singer, all those patriarchs and whatnot, but unfortunately, Kislev's winged lancers and dervishes are a bit lackluster. They are quite sticky in terms of their Bio Blood effect, but that's about all they have. And Corsairs are a little bit overpriced. Yes, they do have missile attacks, but the thing is, a lot of that value you pay for them went into the missiles, and oftentimes you only need like somebody who can like absorb damage and pluck up gaps or just tie down enemy units instead of actually the missiles. So even if they can go for a hybrid missile role, sometimes you just want a pure cheap melee dedicated unit really. So like if CA can give us like Corsairs without their bows and arrows, with just their melee stuff, like say Corsairs with shields, that would be great. But well, unfortunately, no. CA refuses. Anyways, let's see. But also, do note that I'm not casting every battle we have here. As in, on this list, we'll be casting everything on this list, but this is not every battle from the tournament, because it was indeed a double elimination format, so there were a lot of battles, and I don't think I have time for everything. So I'll just be... Plus, I don't think General Eisenbart received every single replay, so yeah, this is what I got from General Eisenbart, and yeah, and I also eliminated a couple replays from the list, and then this is what we have left for this stream. Anyways, I hope like the internet is being decent so far and not having any hiccups. Anyways, hey Mr. Toyful, nice to see you here. Those avalanche mortars gave me PTSD from High Elves Skaven matchup. Yeah, it is indeed a rough time for essentially everyone. Whenever you bring infantry against avalanche mortars, you just kind of dies, unfortunately. It is a very rough opponent to fight. Now, second battle, High Elves versus Wood Elves between Yumais versus General Eisenbart. Two tournament hosts facing off each other, actually. I know Yumais might have hosted some tournaments, but okay. Anyways, General Eisenbart definitely our tournament host for this game. Now, for the core armies here, for Wood Elves, General Eisenbart has picked up a bunch of Wild Riders, 3 Swift Shiver Shards, and also Drycha, but not much else. I don't quite remember the rest, but anyways, as for Yumai's High Elf army, we have a front line of White Lions and a bunch of archers with light armor. At the back, a bunch of silver helms to protect them, and also just run down Wood Elf skirmishers, and a single Herald of the Wind, the fastest light cavalry on the entire Total Warhammer 3 roster, even faster than Hell's Riders, if I remember correctly, with 105 speed, unfortunately being debuffed by poison from the Hackbane tips. They don't exactly have the fastest speed here. Anyways, for the army of General Eisenbart, full front line Vanguard shenanigans. Yes, I love this. War Riders of Shields, a whole line of Dryads plus Deepwood Scouts just deployed on the edge of the map, really. I assume that's because the Vanguard zone are literally on this edge and squeezing everything onto a tight blob. Mobility, some more Glade Riders, 2 of them with Hackbane tips, and 1 of them the Spears one, and a single Way Stalker. So that's it for the army build. Let's start the battle, as it immediately sprung upon the High Elf army with a Vanguard ambush. A little bit of a mistake here. The Glade Riders going balls deep into some White Lions of Chase, definitely a mistake, taking a lot of damage from that charge. While Riders, seeing the Silver Helms here, they are moving over towards the right flank, possibly trying to charge the White Lions, but it seems that the Silver Helms will be here to intercept. Possibly a mistake here, because all these Wild Riders charging into combat means that the High Elf Heavy Cavalry can easily charge down the Wild Riders. Also, there are no anti-large armor-piercing units here. Excuse me for a sec there. Windows are open, so a little bit of noise from outside. Anyways, Deepwood Scouts, they tries to approach and shoot, but then the Fireborn are here pressuring the Dryads, and they should be able to make quick work of the Dryads with their heavy armor, high charge bonus, and all that. Drycha summoned a Malevolent Dryad at the back line, mucking up some Silver Helms, but they're not going to be great. They need to push the archers with light armor instead. On the right flank, White Lions just easily cutting through the 60 armor of Dryads, and their melee stats are supreme as well with their 40 melee defense. The Dryads simply have struggled to do any damage here with their lack of armor piercing. Even their attack are not quite enough to match the martial prowess. Drycha also fighting in combat, but unfortunately against White Lions of Chase, yeah, she doesn't really do much. While Wild Riders are now being caught up by White Lions, definitely a mistake there. While Glade Riders with Hackbane tips pulling away, trying to kite away, but some of them are already on the edge of the map, and there's not a lot of space to kite. Balance of power is still quite even right now, but the thing is, I don't know how the Wood Elves can handle all these High Elf armor and archers at the back. Wild Riders, they need to retreat, and the Deepwood Scouts need to be kiting back, but with so much heavy cavalry chasing after their ass, I don't see them having a good time. Like, for example, Deepwood Scouts here, they just don't have the speed to run away from Fireborn, but luckily for them, Fireborn has their eyes fixated on the Wild Riders, and well, the Wild Riders are taking damage for sure. Ooh, Fate of Buna as well. This Wild Rider unit will be essentially deleted. Now, Pit of Shades here, draining, nuking some White Lines of Shades, but that might simply not be enough here. Deeble Scouts are still shooting, but there are more Silver Helms and White Lions pushing in, while the White Lions here are just easily cutting through a whole bunch of Deeble Scouts. If I do want to say that, like, even with all the shortcomings of a skirmish mode, if you can't handle all the skirmishing units, you might want to turn it on, because a little bit of running, even if in the wrong direction, is still better than not running at all, because, like, the Deeble Scouts just stands there and take damage. But yeah, at this point, I don't see how the Wood Elves can pull this back with all these, especially just this, Fireborn. There's nothing to shoot them down. Like, sure, Deeble Scouts have double damage with their 2 missiles, but the problem is, just heavy armor and physical resistance is more than enough to mitigate most of that damage. Glade Riders tied down by Silver Helms, being shot up by the Heralds of the Wind, especially with their Heralds 105 speed. They can easily catch up to the Glade Riders. And the single arrows of Kernels from the Waystalker here, not doing much damage because of how dispersed that formation is on the Silver Helms. Fireborn here, probably, yeah, Fireborn would have been a better target since they are more bunched up, but other than that, really not much what else can do here. Army losses is hit and High Elves will be victorious. But yeah, let's have a look at the army performances. White Lions, they don't really have to do much here. They just need to, like, pin down all those Dryads, which is exactly what they're good at with their heavy armor, and slowly cut through them, while the rest of the work are done by the Silver Helms and a single Fireborn just running down Wood Elf archers, especially Fireborn here with their flaming damage. They can easily charge into Dryads and just destroy them with impunity. Yeah, especially with the fire weakness of Dryads. The Fireborn would be really useful. Now, as much as I love Vanguard shenanigans, I do think that High Elf might not be the best army to for the Vanguard counter, because, well, they have a great sturdy front line in general. And a Wood Elf Vanguard rush doesn't exactly hold the advantage here. Like, if you charge the Wild Riders in, then they can easily counteract with their own heavy cavalry. Dryads can be stopped by spears. Yes, they can break through the spears, but it will take them some time while the arrow just pouring in onto the Wood Elf ranks. Especially High Elf doesn't really rely on artillery. Like, full Vanguard shenanigans are usually best for artillery army, where you just skip the marching phase and go straight in the face of your opponent and beat them down with a speedy rush. But against High Elf, they don't really need the artillery, and yeah, like, perhaps the biggest effect is a surprise element, but unfortunately, with a little bit of scouting, that can also be countered. So, like, don't get me wrong, I love full Vanguard shenanigans. It's just that I feel like there are specific situations that it can be used, but outside of those specific situations, perhaps not the greatest idea. Still, love the full Vanguard, just that it's a bit sad against a High Elf army. Just not really its strength here. So army performances, yeah, for the Wood Elf side at least. Swift Shard still did some okay damage. This one not so much. They probably got charged early by High Elf cavalry. Wild Riders, absolutely poor damage here because everything is armored and their damage isn't really. Yeah, they don't really have the best performance against armor. Possibly a bit too reckless with the Wild Riders as well in the early game. Probably should have held them back so that they can probably circle around and charge the archers at the back. And charging them early in the early game, really, it's just asking for a counter charge from the Silver Helms and whatnot. But so, unfortunately, sad times for the Wild Riders indeed. But yeah, now we'll be moving on to the next battle, which is Saber's Ragnum versus Berserk. Now, give me a second. I need to go on to Discord to check out the army list, the core army list. Like General Eisenbart did showcase all of the set army lists, the core army list for every player. So let's see. Saber's Ragnum and Berserk. Let's check. Wait, where is Berserk? Okay, Saber's Ragnum's army build is Boris Todbringer on his Griffin, and then 2 Huntsmen, a single war wagon, 3 Halberdiers, and 5 triple gold chevron. State troops elite. Let's go. Love this. And then Berserk. Well, Berserk is a Norsca army with a Skin Wolf Werkin, another Skin Wolf. Not sure if it's the armored variant. Let me check. Armored Skin Wolf variant, and also a single Ice Troll, 2 Horse Masters, 2 regular horsemen, a single Ice Wolf, and 3 Marauders. One of them, the Icehorn Marauders, as well as a Beast of Tashnar. Interesting pick. No, they didn't go for a fixed unit of Lord, so it gives a little bit more flexibility in the Lord selection, which the Norscan army definitely appreciates because of they rely quite a bit on their lords, I feel like, due to their very, very limited lord selection. So different lords for a different situation. Wolfric the Wanderer here, look, if you look at the speed, it's 90, so possibly on a horse. And yeah, anyways, let's just jump right in, and we can check out the rest in the loading screen. Yeah, 490 weapon strength, no armor piercing. That's definitely on the horse. And also a Berserker, as well as a Fimir Bale Fiend of Shadows for the magic support. Now, for the Empire from Saber's Ragnum, we have an additional unit of War Wagon, the Tattered Souls. God. Saber's Ragnum and his boxes, man. Anyways, the Tattered Souls, as well as a Jade Wizard. Interesting. Because you'd assume if you're bringing Boris, you don't really need the Life Mage for the healing. I assume it's mostly for the elite spears, who are 5 gold chevrons. Yeah, and also, yeah, that's about it, actually, yeah. Now let's start here. Saber's Ragnum and his boxes, man. Every time you go in and you look at his formation, and it's like, huh, box? And yeah, it's not a bad thing if you're playing a box well, definitely. But box, defensive geometry at its best. Anyways, anti-large shots from the Huntsmen are shooting at the Skin Wolves, but unfortunately, the Skin Wolf Warrican just doesn't care. He's small enough to dodge shots, and small and fast enough at the same time, really. So yeah, this is gonna be rough for the Norscans, though. If you recall that one video I made about the Wood Elf melee Octagon, that's a box, and the Norscans really struggle to break through. And against elite spears who have 52 melee defense and a bunch of anti-large huntsmen, the Skin Wolves are not gonna have a good time, nor do the skirmishing cavalry. But a bolt straight down the line here, Sabers didn't really catch it, so a bit of mistake, but then he just healed it all back up, mostly with an Earthblood. I guess Earthblood does have its use. Oh, so that's why he brought an Earthblood, trying to sustain the box to hold out while the missile troops can do more damage and all that. Anyway, skirmishers, Marauder Horsemen got a little too close to the Huntsman, who has indeed 160 range, and definitely outranging the hand-thrown javelins, and unfortunately they will be taking massive damage from those anti-large firepower, while the Skin Wolves just staying there and getting shot up by the War Wagons. Not a good time for them as well. But yeah, not exactly the funnest time for the Skin Wolf Warrican. He'll be backing up while the rest of the Marauders are slowly marching forward. Okay, at least the Marauder Horse Masters are shooting a bit, so they kind of count as fulfilling. Yep, they definitely count as the attacking rule, and they are shooting, so that's fine. But yeah, once they've gotten close enough to shoot at enemy units, they are also in range of huntsmen, so they will be taking massive damage as well. Norskins needs to start rushing or start dropping those Pit of Shades. No Pit of Shades, Malkovs. Either ways, they need to start doing damage one way or the other. Malkovs on the spears might be good enough, really. Since the Tattered Souls, you don't really want to try destroy them early, but yeah. Okay, so spears draining health, but they need to start charging, really. Like, all the Marauder Horsemen are just trying to dish out skirmishing fire damage, but then they are also taking massive damage in return from the War Wagons and the Huntsmen, but another boat came in, this time on the other flank, but the Jade Wizard can simply heal everything up, really. Using Power Stone to get a bit more power recharge as well. Now, that to be fair, the skirmishing isn't entirely a bad idea. Having multiple Marauder horses on multiple angles means that the Huntsman with only 2 units can only take care of a limited number of horsemasters. So when the Huntsmen are shooting one side, the Horsemen can go to the other side and start shooting as well. Anyways, the melee fight has begun. Tattered Souls now back to 75% HP. Start taking some damage from the Berserkers, but still, man, the healing. Not really coming in handy. But with an overload of monsters and marauders on one side of the box, the front line of the Empire is faltering a bit. More spears are pushing in to plug up that gap, but seems that it might be a bit... Yeah, they might struggle to hold back the front line here. They might need to start breaking off some of these halberdiers to help out the front line, as the Norscan rush is overloading everything. Oh no, there are more halberdiers in the middle here as a reserve troops to continue plug up the gap. Iron Marauders taking some significant damage in the melee engagement, while Wolfric trying his best to hunt down Boris Todbringer, but he is also taking some minor damage from an enemy unit, while the halberdiers continues to hold their ground. Huntsman unfortunately taking a little bit too much damage, being a bit close to enemy monsters and whatnot, but oh boy, a bad terror route right there. The Norskins were almost through, almost broke through the Empire box, but a terror route stopped their advance for sure. It doesn't permanently stop it, but definitely like slow them down. Now the Norscan Ice Wolves will be charging in as well, alongside some support of Marauders, and Skinwolf Warrican decided to back the hell out, because he's running low on HP, being heavily targeted by the enemy firepower. And an enfeebling foe is dropped onto Boris Todbringer, hoping to nuke his melee stats, allowing him to be sniped out by everything else. Yep, that is quite effective indeed, but the problem is that the Norscan push perhaps might be running out of steam. A lot of stuff is sustaining damage, while the War Wagons are mostly healthy, really, and they can carry quite a bit. They also expended only a limited amount of ammo, getting quite a bit of value. Are they not on fire at will? Not sure. Anyways, Horsemasters are still running around trying to dish out some skirmishing damage, but the Huntsman, the left Huntsman here is still firing. So they are just not enjoying their time at all. Perhaps they can just charge through this little small gap here and perhaps try to like silence the Huntsman. Probably a better shot than just trying to shoot them to death, really. But and either ways, Marauders have broken through another spears. They need to start silencing those Huntsmen, because they are dishing out massive damage against all those Horsemaster and Horsemen. 1,100 gold worth of damage value. Oof, things are rough. Anyway, Skinwolves finally worn down one of the War Wagons, now working on the other one. Marauders pushing on to the Huntsmen as well, but there are a lot of spears and halberds still holding. Halberds, they might not have any gold chevrons or upgrades on them, but they still have melee defense of 47? Damn. Okay, this Boris Todbringer buffing them up with Hold the Line or something. Yep, Hold the Line. Anyways, yeah, they do have quite solid melee stats, plus their anti-large, which means in late game, they definitely can wear down a whole lot of Famir and Skinwolf Warrican. While without the Famir's magic here, I don't know if the Norskins can really break through the elite. I say elite, but that's still like what, 500 something gold worth of that melee troops. But anyways, elite Empire anti-large halberd blob. Spearmen still holding 24 leadership left, but they do have 10 more from their gold chevrons. So, yep, they should be holding for quite a while beating back the Marauders with their 57 melee defense. The anti-large doesn't really come in handy here, but as a spear and with shields, they do have a solid melee defense stat. War wagons, they're still firing. They're wavering and on last of their 2 models, but they should still be able to dish out quite some pain. While Wolfric try being hunted down by Boris Todringer, not having a good time whatsoever. So yeah, it seems like the Berserk's Norscan push is pretty much it, especially with the healing coming in. Oh, the healing, disgusting. Yeah, the Jade Wizard being surrounded by Skin Wolves, he is not gonna like it, but at least he made some final contributions with the healing, sustaining the HP of the Halberdiers, and yeah, the Norscan seems to be about it. What can I say? Elite state troops, the bread and butter of the Empire, and definitely worth bring them here at least. Like, they absorbed a lot of value from the Norscan army. Like, they held back a bunch of Marauders with their poor stats, and also they forced Wolfric to drop in a couple bolt drops to thin them out, and yet they still managed to hold because of all the healing and whatnot. Berserkers did okay. They charged into the Tattered Souls, which is basically an even fight. Both are anti-infantry, light armored units. Both would deal massive damage to each other. Glass cannony, but they are great anti-infantry units. Skin Wolves did some pretty nasty damage. Probably caught up some war wagons and whatnot, but the Ice Trolls, probably a mistake here. They don't have enough leadership to sustain in combat, really. They have healing, but there's only so much that the regeneration can carry you. Horse Masters and Horsemen, they're a solid pick in general, but against Huntsmen, unfortunately, it's just the army build. It was a bit of an unfortunate occurrence for them. While the Wolves and Hounds not doing much here, so yeah, not a lot of good targets for them to charge. They try charging in melee, but then they just get cut down by anti-large, really. Marauders not doing much, unfortunately. They got outclassed by spears, unfortunately. Yeah, state troops, they are more elite than the damn Marauders. Now, for the rest of the Empire army, we have a whole lot of Halberdiers getting some pretty solid value. Spears not earning back their entire value, but they're there to hold the line, really, so, and they did the job properly. Huntsmen, as expected, did amazing against all the lightly armored skirmishing cavalry. Their range advantage comes in handy here with their anti-large bonus. War wagons, as usual, pretty solid skirmishing unit. They just sit there and profit, really. And Boris not doing a lot of damage, but yeah, you don't really need them to do that much damage overall. He's mostly there for terror and just buffing up surrounding units or debuffing, using his abilities and auras. Now, I hope the internet has been decent. Like, if there's any internet hiccups, do leave a comment and do leave something in the chat and let me know, and so that I can see if any alternatives I can find to fix it next time. Of course, I can't fix it this time, but I will. Anyways, 4th battle between Goji and Sufak. Oh, hey Sufak, nice to see you here. We're on your battle now. I'm not sure the outcome of the battle, but I do need to check the core armies of everyone. Sufak's core army would be 3 Bleak Swords, 3 Dread Spears, 3 Dark Riders, and a single Dark Shards. While the spell support would be a single Beast Caster, Beast Sorceress, and also a single Shades, the regular variant, and also a... Wait, is that a Sword and Board? Sword and Board, yeah, Sword and Board, so not Nelossi. But anyways, Dreadlord, Sword, and Shield on the Dragon, while Gojira would be going for an Ogre's army. So, 2 Iron Guts, 2 regular Ogre Bulls, 2 Nobbler Trappers, a single regular Trapper, and a Crusher. There's also a Fire Belly and a Slaughter Master. 2 Caster. Now, Fire Belly is definitely an overpriced choice, but they also brings in the only source of magic melee attack you can get as an Ogre player. Well, the Flaming Sword of Ruin. So it does have its use. There's also Burning Head and Firebolt here. While, wait, Scrag the Slaughter? Oh, that's a bold choice, but I think, not gonna lie, I think Scrag the Slaughter is way worse than regular Slaughter Master. Now, well, how do I say it? Like, they just, Scrag the Slaughter just doesn't have any good toolkits other than extra ingredients, I assume. His ability buffs, Gorgers, but then after Gorgers got nerfed to shit, I mean, it's in the proper position right now, but they're just no longer their former OP glory. But anyways, they have extra ingredients, and that's about it, and their Gorger buff. So there is no passive healing from the Blood Cleaver, and there is no melee debuff from the Belly Slapper. And Scrag the Slaughter, as a result, is a lot more fragile than a regular Slaughter Master, without those passive healing and melee attack debuff. So yeah, just not a great lord in my opinion. I would even rate it lower than a Beast Slaughter Master because of all that. Anyways, for the army build here, the rest of the army build is just a bunch of extra Nobbler. Yeah, it has 1 extra Nobbler and a couple lead belchers and some saber tusk packs. And for their opponent here, going super wide, there are more dark shards, 2 extra dark shards and possibly even more. No, just a standard core number of bleak swords and dread spears. They do have a single more shades on the flank, as well as 1 additional dark rider. Now, so for the spell cast, oh wait, no, there's also even a witch elves at the back for that rampaging effect. Where's the spellcaster? Spellcaster, Flock of Doom, as well as Transformation of Kadon. And that's about it for the army builds. So let's get the battle started. Of course, with the firepower advantage here with the lead belchers, the ogres will have a slight bit of advantage before the high elves reach their front line. But the high elf front line with such a wide army here, the ogres might actually struggle to deal with them, because they don't have enough units to plug up the gaps and stop their advance. And then dark shots will be shooting as well. And the lab belchers, one of the lab belchers aimed at the Dreadlord, which I think is a mistake, because they're one of their main strength is their penetration with their projectiles, which can just hit multiple models at once. And oh, a very nice burning hat, by the way. The witch elves failed to dodge it and just absolutely obliterated by a single cast. So great damage from the Fire Belly, getting 452 gold worth of damage. That's weird. Anyways, possibly there's some lab belchers shooting at them as well. Anyways, on the side, Dark Riders charging in, but they are pinned down by Iron Guts and Saber Tusk packs. On the other side, the Shades are being pushed by a bunch of Iron Guts. They should be able to do some nice damage once they start to get shooting, but before they can start shooting, they will take massive damage from the Giant Clubs. On the front line, Big Sword and Dread Spear is just pinning down a lot of Ogre resources, but Ogre seems to be getting an advantage right now, especially with the Bleak Swords and Dread Spears bunching up way too much. Dread Spears pushing the Lead Belchers at the back here, but the Lead Belchers should be able, the other Lead Belchers should be able to crossfire and just deal with the Dread Spears. Though, unfortunately, the Murderous Prowess is activated, so they're inspired by ability and barely holding their leadership above 0. Another Burning Head going down the line. These Dark Shards somehow got involved in melee combat. Definitely a mistake on the micros, as well as bunching up so much. A perfect Burning Head going down the line, roasting the Dark Shards and the Bleak Swords taking some damage as well. The Dreadlord dives down, trying to pin down trying to deal with the Light Belchers, but then the Sky Striders are here, and he does not want to stay here. He'll be quickly pulling out of combat here, but unfortunately Frostbite stopping him from quickly pull away into the sky, but he managed to take off in the last second before another Sky Strider can hit him. In the front line, the things are not looking great for Dark Elves for sure. Their push is basically dealt with by the Ogre Bulls here. Their buff from the Flaming Sword of Ruin buffing up their base weapon damage really benefits them against the lightly armored Dread Spears and Bleak Swords. Iron Guts coming back from the flanks. Also, some of these Sabertusk pack chased off enemy units all the way on the other side of the map. They need to come back and perhaps like deal with the Dark Riders or some of these Dark Shards. While the Fire Belly is now rampage among the Witch Elves. Shouldn't be a great problem for him because he is a decent enough melee combatant, just that there's not much spell support for the Dark Elves right now. One problem for the Dark Elves is how are they dealing with the Sky Striders in the end. Perhaps all these Shades and Dark Shots would be a decent unit. While Scrag the Slaughterer somehow is still in full health. I don't know if he used any Troll Guts on himself, but he's usually not that tanky. I'm not sure what's happening here. And with the Dark Shots shooting, they are not yeah. Scrag will want to just get out of there. Iron Guts are here to support him, but there's just so much armor-piercing firepower in, and the Iron Guts are suffering massively. The Light Belchers are still here firing, and being closely guarded by the Sky Striders, they should be able to dish out some more damage before the Dark Elf mobility overwhelms them. Another Burning Head comes down as the Witch Elves have been defeated, and the Fire Ballet is no longer rampaging. Going down the line on the Shades doing some decent damage, but yeah, just not as devastating as before, while the Sky Striders will be rushing in to help. Just needs to run down the Wood Elf missiles, really. And Fire Ballet being crossfired by a whole lot of Dark Shards. He is not enjoying this at all, and also some Shades are here to help out. But then a Sky Strider here slamming straight into the ranks of the Dark Shards, and they will be wrecked in a quick hurry. Especially with their 20% missile resistance, they should do fine, even if the Shades turn back and shoot them, and let alone there are some of these Iron Guts and Ogre Bulls charging in to muck them up. There are some regrouped Shades trying to crossfire into the fray here, but the Sky Striders will be moving on to them. But perhaps they should just turn around and start sniping out the Dreadlord, as the balance of power is slowly edging towards the favor of the Ogre army. Now, despite the Dark Elves being a powerful meta faction, I do think that the Ogres have some kind of advantage over them because of their lack of anti-large and missile hybrid here. The Dark Shards can fight, but once they get charged by charged by Ogres and Sabertusk, then they will be suffering, and their Bleak Swords and Dread Spears frontline just kind of struggles again in breaking through Nobblers fast enough, while the Ogres can just simply charge them, and with the Ogre charge they will be suffering massive damage. Now, army performances, Light Belcher is always a solid unit. I would rate them around like an A tier unit for the Ogre Kingdoms, just because of how good they are against heavy infantry or, well, any infantry in general. Of course, they're not like the go-to unit in every matchup. The go-to unit is actually Sabertusk and Nobblers and Nobbler Trappers, which is weird. Yeah, which is weird. In a faction where Monster is the sole purpose here, the most important units are Nobblers and Cats. Oh well, anyways, army performances, the Fire Belly did great here with all those burning heads, roasting a whole lot of Dark Elf infantry. Scrag the Slaughterer somehow managed to survive here, not sure how. He is a usually quite fragile lord. Sky Striders did amazingly, not a single unit model died, and Iron Guts here just kind of plowing through those Dark Elf infantry. Unfortunately for the Druki, they just don't have that kind of stopping power to hold back the Ogre's belly charge. Ogre Bulls charging great against the light armored units, and the Nobblers, well, they're Nobblers. They're mostly there to pin down enemy units and just muck them up with their slow, especially the Trappers, with their Nobblers traps. Now, Dark Elves, Shades did okay, but just not amazing for this one. This one did okay, but yeah, the Dark Elf doesn't have enough stopping power here to hold back the Ogre charge. Yeah, the Dark Elves, Dark Riders doesn't, the Dark Elves doesn't trade, the Dark Riders doesn't trade great against Saber-Tusk packs due to their light armor and all that. And yeah, so they just kind of get run down by a combination of Saber-Tusk and Ogre's Iron Guts. The Dreadlord did horribly here for some reason. Yeah, you don't want to bring a Dreadlord with Dragon on against an Ogre Kingdom fight. There's just too many anti-large tools. For example, lead belchers to shoot them. The most infamous Sky Striders that can just pin you down for forever and you simply can't push out because of how big they are. And also, even Man-Eaters would be great against Dark Elves in my opinion. Witch Elves got nuked early, didn't dodge that Burning Hat, which is indeed an issue. Burning Hat is easy to dodge if you're moving. So definitely a mistake there. What else? Let's see. Bleak Swords, Bleak Swords, Dread Spears didn't really do great here. Ogre Bulls, if they don't, like, if Ogre Bulls can get the support of Novelers, they can definitely beat anything here, straight up, in a 1v1 or even 2v1. So unfortunate enough for the Dark Elves. Like, this army composition is just not great for an ogre against an Ogre Kingdom army. Okay, what's next? So this time Sufak versus ZZ. Yeah, Sizz. That's probably the best attempt I can get for attempting this name. Anyways, for the next battle, it will be between Sufak, which we showcased earlier, bring the same build against Sizz. This time, interesting enough, going for a very early game 3 build here. 3 Gorgers, Scrag the Slaughter, and also, yeah, just 3 Gorgers and Scrag the Slaughter is something I haven't seen in a while. A front line of Novelers and 3 Trappers plus a couple Man-Eaters. Now, the 3 Gorgers are definitely in the core army build. I remember seeing that, and I assume the Scrag the Slaughter as well. And then there is the Hunter here on a Stone Horn, which is, I think, is also on the core army list. Yeah. And let's see how it performs against the Dark Elves. Now, Gorgers will immediately get shot by a whole bunch of Shades here, and they might want to stay the hell away from that fight. While the Trappers will be pushing up. They were, I think they were aiming at the Shades, but now they're charged by Noveler Trappers. A mistake on the Ogre player for sure. Oh no, the Noveler shouldn't be dying like this. No, what are you doing, Gorgeous? And you need to be there to support. And now the Noveler Trappers being charged by Dark Riders will be quickly routed away. Unfortunately, taking just way too much damage. Man-Eaters with great weapons are charging in, but the Gorgeous could have helped in this fight, but yeah, they just got retreated. Now Novelers pushing in, being charged by. Wait, why are these Dark Shards in melee combat? Oh, they're trying to aim at the Hunters, probably, and just push way into the Gorgers, way into the Noveler Trappers. Well, a nice wrap around with the Dark Riders here. The Bleak Swords and Dark Shards also need to wrap around. While over here, these Gorgers are continuously taking damage from the Shades. Scrag the Slaughter is here to support, but somehow these Gorgers, well, I was saying somehow these Gorgers managed to survive, but they just died. A little bit of fisting here, breaking through the Dread Spears, allowing the Ogres to start pushing on to the next units, but then the Dark Riders are charging in. Dread Spears are still screening away while the Shades are still shooting. No, like, these Gorgers need to, like, just... Why are you doing this? Just charge straight. Charge straight. Sometimes. Okay. I might be a bit aggressive right now, but it hurts me to see ogres being being mismicroed like this. Unfortunately, this hurts. But yeah, the Gorgeous just spent too much time being indecisive here. They should have just charged straight into the Dark Riders here. I know they are supposed to be anti-infantry, but then again, the anti-infantry, anti-large thing is more like a suggestion than a rule. So, like, sometimes it's just beneficial to have a unit charge straight in like that to help your other units to fight with support. They could have beaten the Dark Rider straight up, but yeah, the chances were missed, and now they're just suffering from Dark Shards and Shades. Also, a great fisting from the Scrag the Slaughterer here, as Sufak accidentally bunch up way too many units here, which Elves, Dread Spears, and Bleak Swords just get nuked by that single fisting. Sorry, Bone Crusher. That's the word. Anyways, Dark Shards are now shooting at the Hunter here, doing massive damage. The Hunter does have 20% missile resistance on the Stonehorn, but unfortunately that can only go so far, as the Armor Piercing is nuking him. A Breath Attack got dropped onto the Gorgeous, which is not a bad choice. You want to destroy them as soon as possible, as they are an unbreakable unit, and yeah. You can only eliminate them by killing them all, so... Anyways, a lot of Ogre units are just kind of blobbing on here. Definitely a bad decision right here, as the Dark Elves are now spreading out, slowly surrounding this blob here. Another fisting comes in, but it probably does more friendly fire than anything. Oh, probably not, because most of these nobblers are quite dispersed. Anyways, they try to form a death blob here, just kind of pushing through unit after unit, but unfortunately the issue is this unless you have some area of effect healing or Mortis engine, this never works, as everything is now just being surrounded and focus fire. All those Dark Shot Crossfire are nuking everything in the blob. A Manticore Summon is dropped here, so there will be terror for the Dark Elves to use against the Ogre army. And Ogres, not having the greatest leadership, Man-Eaters do have immune to psychology, so they don't really care. Actually, everything is Man-Eaters here, so should be fine then. Wait. Oh, well, Scrag the Slaughterer doesn't have the kind of... doesn't have immune to psychology, so I guess that will work. But at this point, the Dreadlord doesn't really need to do much here. Just kind of sits back and drops in some breath attacks here and there, and that should trigger army losses. And there we go. Not gonna lie, it hurts a bit to see ogres being slaughtered like that. Like, is it impossible for this ogre army to win? No, definitely has a chance, but yeah. Against that many Dark Shards, and you bring a Stonehorn, and you need a lot of micro on the Stonehorn to disrupt enemy Dark Shards, and a lot of mobility really to stop them. And Gorgers, unfortunately, just not the greatest choice here, just because they are not a great mobility anymore. Anyways, army value. Hunter got nuked by a lot of arm-piercing firepower. Man-Eaters would have do fine against the cavalry, but anything else, not so much. And the Dreadlord just refused to land, and they don't have the fight they want. Gorgers, a lot of indecisive maneuver in the early game, so allows the Dark Shards and Shades to do massive damage to them, and as a result, they didn't really earn back that much value. Nobbler Trappers, some of them got tied into combat way too easily and without any support. Like, for example, the beginning of the battle, Dark Riders charged Nobblers, and Gorgers, instead of running in to help, like say a Red Ogre, they basically fulfilled a similar role, but unfortunately the Gorgers ran away and not helping, so the Nobblers just got left on their own and just died to Dark Riders. Afterwards, for the armies of Dark Elves of Sufak, this one, they forgot this one unit of Shades. No value. Not a single HP damage taken, but the other one, 1,800 gold worth of damage value, solid stuff here. And then Dark Shards did solid, 2 of them did solid, 1 of them got charged by something, possibly by Gorgers and whatnot, so not Oh wait, no, that's the one that got somehow tied in combat against a bunch of Nobbler trappers, I think. Bleak swords, dread spears did all right. Nothing too amazing, but did all right. Dark riders here again did all right. All they need to do is just run down Nobblers, and the dark shards and shades will handle the rest. Now that's the 5th battle we cast. Now the 6th battle between two quite strong undead factions here, Tomb Kings and Vampire Host. For the core army for Walsturban, yeah, that sounds like a German name, Walsturban. The core army, if I remember correctly, are 3 units of Ushabtis with great balls, 3 units of regular Ushabtis, Archon the Black, and some of the skeletons. I think it's probably the Kepler Guard. Anyways, I sent in my Streltsy army of Kislev against this Walsturban's Tomb King's army, and it got absolutely wrecked because I've got no good answers against those Ushabtis. Everything got shot up by them. My bear cavalry, my missile infantry, they all get shot up, while the skeletons can very cost effectively tie down my missiles, and yeah, not a good time. Now for the core army of shit, I need to check. Wait, Graph Nautilus. Wait, sorry. I forgot what that's not Bjorn. Let me just check the core army. Give me a second. No, not him. Not him. Wait, hold on a second. This is it? 3 sirens, a whole bunch of It's Coitus Interfrators, I think. Okay, do we see? Okay, we don't see any Rotten Prometheans here. So yeah, it's Coitus Interfrators, I think. Anyways, army built here, a front line of zombie pirate gunnery mob. Wait, or is it Bjorn? No, this is not Bjorn. Anyways, Walsturban versus Coitus. Coitus army is a 3 gunnery mob with handguns, 3 pistol mobs, and 2 bomber mobs, plus 4 animated hulks and 2 scurvy dogs and a single siren, plus Count Noctilus. Now Count Noctilus is on foot, as we can see here, hidden in the forest with some Pit of Shades, all his summons, Wraith Storm, and Invocation of Nahek. For the rest of the army build, a few more sirens, providing some ethereal units here, since the Tomb Kings usually lacks that kind of armor, kind of magic attack. But unfortunately for them here, if they get to fight the Kepler Guard, they will have a bad time, because Kepler Guard does have that magic attack. Are they hidden here? Yep, they have magic attack and anti-infantry, perfect for cutting down sirens. Other than that, zombie pirate gunnery mob at the back, handguns gunnery mob, animated hulks, and yeah, that's about it. And a bunch of scurvy dogs. Yeah, that's a expensive. Yeah, yep. That's about it for the army. Now let's get the battle started. Skeleton chaff would be, so basically I assume the idea is using skeleton chaff to hold back enemy, and Ushabtis will be dealing with the rest, and they can indeed deal with a lot of stuff here. Animated hulks, they don't have the greatest armor, so that the armor piercing doesn't really matter, but just a sheer firepower would be very useful against them. Although they seems to be dealing with the gunnery, the bomber mob first, because they don't want their skeletons to get cleared out by all those explosions. Now, the zombie pirate gunnery mob. Wait, how are they shooting? How are they shooting? Like, what? Oh god, they're not even in range. Why were they shooting? The fuck? Anyways, they're in range now, so I guess that's not a big issue. And their pistols can fire while moving, so they are just firing and doing some minor chip damage against the heavy armor of all these Ushabtis. And those Shaptis will be moving away, doing a little bit of kiting here after doing some minor damage to the zombie pirate gunnery mob. At the back here, skeleton warriors being summoned onto the field here, stopping the advance of a bunch of sirens and scurvy dogs. And they're doing some essentially free damage against the lightly armored sirens, really. Now, the gunnery mobs are continuously firing, and even with the heavy armor on those Shaptis, they are still taking some noticeable damage, so they need to fall back. Skeleton archers will be shooting at the sirens using their... Oof. What are you doing, Capragard? Okay, yeah, they're moving over to try to intercept the sirens now, but they're way out of position. Anyway, skeleton warriors, unfortunately for them, the bombers are now slowly approaching in range, and they will get cleared out in a quick hurry. But at least the archers are still firing. They're being heavily targeted by enemy missiles. Oh no, actually the Shaptis are being heavily targeted by all the handguns, taking noticeable damage. While over here, what is this? A Purple Son of Zerus. Now that's an interesting spell I haven't seen in a while, but that came in as a lot of friendly fire damage. Oh god, what have you done? What have you done, Arca in the Black? But at least they have regeneration to slowly heal them back up, but definitely a mistake. Definitely miscast here. Probably should have been better. Just drop it on the missile troops. But anyways, skeleton archers will be firing, and they're doing some great damage against the bomber mobs. But the bomber mobs has also been clearing up skeleton infantry. The front line is basically in shambles for Tomb Kings. They need a lot more infantry than whatever they have right now to stop the advance. But at least they have those 3 Ushaptis melee variant to just charge and hold. Anyways, Capragard is finally slowly marching into melee combat. But at this point, the sirens, who are much faster with 48 speed versus their 28, yeah, 20 speed advantage here, just kind of ignores them and goes straight for the back line using their armor piercing to their advantage and try to slow down and muck up all these Shaptis. At the same time, animated hulks, due to a lack of skeleton frontline, have made their way into the back line here, silencing the archers and whatnot. A beautiful Pit of Shades combined with the previous damage from all those from that one Purple Son of Zerus is just nuking this one Capragard, and the best bet for the Tomb Kings to deal with the sirens is basically on the verge of breaking here, especially now that there are multiple units that can turn around and shoot them to death. Brave Storm coming in, thinning out the skeleton spears, while the scurvy dogs are tying down skeleton archers. A great trait for them, while sirens effortlessly cutting through the armor of all those Ushapti with great bows. They're an ethereal unit, so 100% armor piercing. And yeah, that Ushapti just are just getting steadily deleted by a lot of those ethereal units. Even though Ushaptis, the regular ones with their anti-infantry, is just not great trait against the sirens. Animated hulks at the back are pushing, and Tomb King's front lines are really in shambles, really. These summoned Ushaptis have managed to deal with a single handgun, but they still have a lot more zombies to go, and time is not on their side, unfortunately, as the sirens get closer and closer to all those Ushaptis with their high speed, plus their... Oh, they don't have frostbite, but they do have... well, they'd have enough speed to catch enemies anyway, so that's not a big concern. But yeah, those Ushaptis are not having a good time. Summon skeletons tying down zombie pirate gunnery mob and just slowly cutting them down, but is it fast enough? Probably not. And yeah, so things are looking quite good for the vampirates right now, with Capragard on the verge of destruction, down to 20 models, and the HP constantly taking damage and only having 500 gold worth of damage value. Definitely a mistake for pushing them so far up ahead. They should have been held back and just committed when they see fit against the sirens. And at the back, zombie power gunnery mobs with their handguns are shooting. These are not summoned, so they are just going to be here forever. Not that they have any good targets to shoot anyways, as the Ushaptis are all the way back here, while the Ushapti with great bows are trying to kite, but they are failing under the faster sirens. A 48 speed versus their 54. Actually, not that much faster, but yeah, they're not that much faster, but a constant pressure from these sirens stops them from firing. Especially, they are slowed down in the forest. So yeah, we can just fast forward now as sirens are just tying down Shaptis and slowly just finishing them off. And there goes the vampires with their victory. Okay, now for the army performances. Keplerguard unfortunately got nuked by 2 area of effect spells, one from their own Purple Son of Zerus and Pit of Shades from Count Noctilus. Very unfortunate back there. What else? We have Ushatu with great bows, not a lot of good targets to shoot at. The best bet are probably the animated hulks, but with the sirens constantly pressuring them, they just can't stand still and shoot because all those armor piercing are coming in to drag them down. Ushaptis didn't do great as well. They're just heavily targeted by a lot of handguns. Now, the best bet for the Tomb King's army to win this game is actually the Skeleton Archers, which are a great trade against bombers and handguns, but they just don't have enough. While the Skeleton front line being thinned out by bombers and pushed by zombies, not having a great time even after they died. And yeah, Arcane the Black probably did more harm to their own army than their contribution. With that, again, that Purple Sun, man, that just sucks. Very unfortunate for the Tomb Kings. While the vampires here, the Zyrines, one of them did some good value, but the other not so much. But that's not the main purpose. Their purpose is just really to tie down and pressure all those Ushaptis with great bows, while the front line of the vampires are just soaking up damage and dishing out damage in return. They're not that much of a loss if they get shot down, but as long as they can do damage, it's a win for the vampires. Gunnery Mob with their bombs didn't do great, but it's fine. The animated hulks and the sirens are just doing the majority of the heavy lifting here, pushing and shutting down all those Tomb King's backlines, really. And some Scurvy Dogs did some minor damage. Nothing too great here. And Count Noctilus did okay. Like, he didn't really see that much action here fighting against Keplerguard. Not the greatest fight for him, but he did have a nice Pit of Shades to nuke them down. Anyways, let me just take a quick few seconds break. Just gonna hydrate myself a bit, and then we can go back to another game. And actually, yeah, right. I need to catch up with chat. Oh, Sizikrizneksha. Okay, sorry, man. I assume that's an Eastern European name. I can't pronounce it. Sorry, man. But don't be sorry about the name. It's your choice, really. But yeah. It's more on it's more on us who can't actually pronounce it. Yeah, Human Boy, yes. Oh, hey man, nice to see you here. I don't know if you're still around. Actually, it's probably been a while since you typed that chat, but nice seeing you here. Nobblers using their Mortis passive, definitely their main purpose, and a 3-man Bone Crusher spell. That was a heavy Bone Crusher nuke. If you're talking about that one. But anyways, memes of Warhammer. Who do you think will be the 4 legendary lords in the Chaos Dwarf DLC? I don't think that will be a 4 legendary lord. I think that will be 2. That's only gonna be 2, and I'm not sure about. I don't know much about the Chaos Dwarfs really, so I can't really say much. Perhaps I remember there's like a master sorcerer kind of person among the Chaos Dwarf legendary characters, so that probably is going to be one. It's going to be 1 caster and 1 melee, I assume. So, yeah. Anyways, we at least know one will be the Legion of Asgore. I really don't. Unfortunately, I really don't know much about them. Wolsterben means forest dying. Huh. On on a faction of dead people. That of a dead people Wolfsteben on a faction of a dead people originated from a desert. That actually sounds pretty thematic. Anyways, back for another game. I lost count of what game we're on, but Sugarnik, which we have showcased their army build already, and I got wrecked hard in that game. And Sufak going for basically the same army pick, and this time only one additional, Witch Elves, one additional Shades, and some more Dark Riders, and an additional Dread Spears. While Sugarnik going for pretty much the same build with a little bit of variant as the Rattling Guns at the back. Ooh, which one's the Rattling? Warlock Jezzails, where's the Rattling Guns? Teeth Breakers hiding in the forest. Not sure why, but they need to... Probably a mistake in the deployment here, probably. They're rushing all the way back into the middle. Anyways, we'll be fast forwarding a bit here as the Avalanche Mortars raids Havoc. Oh god! Oh, that hurts. The PTSD comes back as an elf player. Anyways, just straight up routes a whole Bleak Sword unit. Warlock Jezzail starts firing at the Dreadlord as well, and the Dreadlord blasts away some of these Poison Wing Globadiers. Not killing a lot of models, only 8 models dead, but 40% of HP gone, roughly around that amount. And Howling Warp Gale, okay, that's gonna hurt. Howling Warp Gale pinning down the Dreadlord with Sword and Shield, and there's still 16 seconds left, and Teeth Breakers are just nuking him with all those firepower. Now Dark Shards did get into firing range, and their armor piercing are great against all those armored weapons teams, while the Avalanche Mortars are just nuking everything. Friend or foe, they're gonna nuke it. Although that is probably a better trade for the Skavens because of how expensive the Witch Elves are. The Dark Elves, Dark Shards are now nuking the Poison Wing Globadiers, and on the far side, the Mobility are pushing. Shades are still circling around in the forest, probably a miss micro there, as there's a lot to manage right now. Avalanche Mortars now turning their gaze on the Dark Shards and will be nuking them in one shot, while the Dark Riders trying to tie down all those Teeth Breakers and all the rest of the Skaven weapons teams, but a spam of Red Ogres and Wolf Rats with Poison will be making quick work of these lightly armored cavalry. Another Howling Warp Gale pinning down the Feral Manticore that got summoned into the world, and as soon as it got birthed, it's gonna die. While Dark Shards spending the last of their ammo to shoot at the Warlock Jezzails here, and the Shades being tied down, charged by the Red Ogres. They are good in melee combat, but against a superior charge, no, they're not gonna hold for much longer. 36 melee attack plus their charge bonus, and they had Frenzy earlier, so doing massive damage to the Shades and also silencing their firepower, which is the more important part. Now at the back, the Dark Shards are basically done for because of how many Clan Rats are surrounding them, overwhelming those Dark Elf positions. There are still quite a bit of Bleak Swords and Dread Spears fighting through the Clan Rats, but the problem is their Lord is not having a good time, being targeted by Teeth Breakers as it tries to dive bomb the Avalanche Mortars, and also being charged by a Kick Claw as well as a bunch of Red Ogres. He will not be able to get out because of all those mobility coming in. Wait, he's actually getting out. Nope. A Kick Claw is just sticking close to his butt. Anyways, Dark Riders here will be moving on. Yep, they'll be charging the Teeth Breakers, but it's just simply too late, as the Dreadlord is now gonna be finished off with, wow, even suppressed with the speed reduction from the Teeth Breakers earlier. Now, he's finally back up to 81 speed against the 72 of a Kick Claw, and he will be flying back up to the sky, but with only 38 HP, he's not coming back for sure. Another Feral Manticore is dumped onto the field, but what can it really do at this point? Probably not much. Wolf Rats with Poison still on the field as well, so any Dark Elf units that got routed will be quickly chased down, hunted down, and yeah. Unfortunately, the Dark Elf's run will be the end at this point. Anyways, at this point, I think it is safe to just fast forward here, as the last of the Wood Elf units, Dark Elves unit will be cleaned up by the Skavens. As soon as the Feral Manticore is down, there will be army losses, really. Oh, it doesn't even need the Feral Manticore to go down. Too much damage overall. Just too much damage. Just the damage. Also, I swear I've been picking up some of the... I feel like I've been picking up some habits from Human Boy Yes Yes because that, like, he's literally the only streamer I watch. Like, I don't usually watch gaming streams, but Warhammer is an exception because of all the tournaments. And there's only really one other streamer that does tournament streams in English, and that's Human Boy Yes Yes these days. So, well... I mean, tournament streams of land battles. But yeah. I mean, I know Torin does domination streams, but I just don't feel like domination. I still like the whole army clashing thing, so land battles is still the way, in my personal opinion, of course. Now, army performances, just look at the Avalanche Mortars. God, 246 kills on the Elves. That's a lot of that, Elves. And 1,500 gold worth of damage value for the Teeth Breakers, managing to shut down the Dreadlord really with the extreme firepower. Warplock Giselles did some chip damage, nothing too substantial. Red Ogres did some pretty decent stuff to stop enemy mobility and just counter punching, even charging down some of the shades. Poison Wing Globadiers, unfortunately, usually they would do great, but unfortunately this time they got outranged and outgunned by the armor-piercing Dark Shards and all that. So against Dark Elves, they do have a little bit of counter. They do get countered a bit, I mean. But anyways, Wolf Rats chasing down enemy units, getting some solid value. Rats, the Chaff, well, they're Chaff, so not much to say about them. Ikit Claw just shutting, pinning down the pinning down the Dreadlord and the Manticores are the two great things he did. And that's really all he needs to win the game, really. Just the control of enemy air power. Now, for the army build, for the army performances of Sufek, Sorceress didn't do much. Basically, the Witch Elves, the Witch Elves, Dark Shards, and a lot of the Dread Spears, Bleak Swords are nuked by the Avalanche Mortars. This one getting 0 value, being deleted straight away. Yeah. Being deleted straight up in the very beginning of battle. Dark Riders one of them did okay, the other not so much, as they got countered by the mobility spam from the Skaven army. Now we're down to the last 11 replays, this time between Khorne from Kilvane and Gojira with the Ogre armies. Now, we showcased Gojira's army before. Now we'll be looking at the Khorne army's core from Kilvane, which I need to check. Like, this is also the only Khorne army in the entire game, so pretty excited to see how it does. So, the Khorne core army would be 5 regular Marauders of Khorne, 2 Khorne Furies, and 4 Khorne Warhounds, and a couple Marauder Horsemen with their throwing axes, and also a single Valkyria the Bloody here. And for the units here, actually going for Minobus. Yeah, definitely a solid choice against the Ogres, but as an Ogre player, I would say there is a counter against Khorne mobility plus Minobus spam. But just that, now I don't know the outcome of the battle, but spoiler alert from my own opinion, I do think that this is not an Ogre army that can counteract a Khorne Minobus. You need Man-Eaters. Man-Eaters, they got immune to psychology, they have great stats in general. Just solid melee stats and anti-large armor piercing. You're not investing in armor that got wasted against armor piercing Minotaurs. So yeah. So Man-Eaters is actually, I think personally, a good choice against the Minotaurs of Khorne. Like, even Crushers would not be a great pick here because of all the heavy investment in their armor, and it's just useless against enemy great weapons. But man-eaters, I do love that unit because of their stats and just a reliable unit to fight in general. Anyways, on the side, Nobbler Trappers will be repelling the throwing axes of Khorne. They do have similar range, 70 versus 70, so but the Khorne army does have the speed to just dash out of range. And now the front line, Nobblers and Ogre Bulls will definitely win this, but against the Minotaurs, this might be a rough match. Sky Striders should do fine, and Iron Guts. Now, Iron Guts rely heavily on their armor to mitigate any incoming damage, so if they get tangled up by the Minotaurs of Khorne, they might be in great trouble. And Man-Eaters with Ogre Pistol, personally, I think it's a bad choice. I just hate that unit. Because, like, okay, because of all the light armor, really. Like, 40 armor, even a Chaos Fury can trade very cost effectively against you. Anyways, Iron Guts getting charged by Khorne Ogre Bulls, and they're just suffering heavily. So they need the Sky Striders here to support, but they're just not doing damage to the Minotaurs fast enough. While the Man-Eaters turn around, and they need to turn around and fire. I hate this unit, but oh, okay, they're targeting the Marauder Horsemen. But at this point, the Horsemen can just charge in and silence them with melee attack. Anyways, the melee engagement, the frontline engagement is going quite decently for the Ogre Kingdoms, except where the Minotaurs of Khorne are engaging. Although somehow Scrag the Slaughter is doing some pretty solid damage against the Minotaurs with his armor piercing. But the problem is there's just too many Minotaurs and Valkyrie the Bloody coming in, plus the throwing axes heavily targeting the Sky Striders, and also remember there is some flaming axes from the Marauder Horseman, and the Sky Striders tries to back away, but being chased by the Minotaurs of Khorne, they need to just turn around and sit there and fight instead of running away, because they're just giving the Minotaurs free damage. And they need some healing fast, being charged by the Chaos Furies, and also the Khorne Minotaurs. The Sky Striders are collapsing. And as you can see from the balance of power, it is in the favor of the Khorne army, with the heavy casualties on the Iron Guts and the Sky Striders. Safe to say the Sky Striders are not coming back despite the heal coming in their way because of all the mobility. Yeah. Ah well. Anyways, Scrag the Slaughter will be eliminated soon. Trogas is here topping up their health, but they are still being chased down by Valkyrie the Bloody and some Chaos Fury. So yeah, safe to say they're not gonna be holding on for long. Ogre Bulls are still trying to charge enemy units, but unfortunately they simply can't carry much against that many Minotaurs on the field. Valkyrie the Bloody also they just can't deal with her. Like, it's even possible that Valkyrie the Bloody can solo all the Ogre Bulls on the field right now, while the rest of the Ogre army will be finished off by Dogs and Marauders and all that. You can see that the Ogre Bulls are just taking crossfire damage from the throwing axes, although the Nobbler Trappers are dishing some damage against the Marauder Horsemen. They're just gonna get swarmed by Dogs and Marauders and just get finished off. These Nobblers, even worse fate than being eaten by Dogs, just get hacked by the Minotaurs of Khorne. And that's the end of Khorne versus Ogres. The Ogres, unfortunately, do suffer quite a bit against the anti-large available on the Khorne roster, and all the mobility available. You simply can't bring any missile troops because how fast they'll get tied down by Furies and swarmed and eliminated. Especially Khorne Furies who has Frenzy. So if they drop onto your lightly armored Man-Eaters or Lead Belchers, they will just trade well. Unless you have enough Saber-Tusk packs to swarm them and stop them right then and there. Now for army performances, two very amazing performances from the Minotaurs of Khorne. One did decent and still have a lot of health to give. Marauder Horsemen did okay, nothing too amazing because they did get shot up by the Nobbler Trappers, while the Marauders of Khorne didn't do much. Mobility, the Furies mostly there to just tie down enemy missiles like these very expensive Man-Eaters. You don't want them in melee because of how fragile they are, but you're also investing a lot of cost into their melee stats, so I don't think it's the greatest unit to buy. on the Ogre roster. Personally, I don't even bring them to battle anymore. Actually, I don't think I've ever brought them to battle. Like, their role, their armor-piercing shooty role is basically the same as Lead Belchers, and they don't have the penetration that Lead Belchers cannons get. So, they are less shooty than Lead Belchers, and their fighty stats doesn't come in handy at all because of how fragile they are. So, yeah. Personally, I have a really low opinion on man-eaters with Ogre pistols. Even the ROR version. Especially the ROR version, really. Because of how expensive they are. Anyways, Chaos Warhounds did okay. Nothing too amazing, but also did decent. As for the Ogre Kingdoms, Sky Strider is being swarmed by Minotaurs and Furies and Hounds and everything. Just, yeah, they're not having a good time. Iron Guts, not a great pick against Khorne because, well, unfortunately, this is a fixed army, so they can't really bring anything else. But against Minotaurs, they'll just get chopped down. While Ogre Bulls, I wouldn't invest that much in Ogre Bulls against Khorne. Again, because you can simply use a combination of Nobbler Trappers and Nobblers to pin down enemy frontline and just use your other units to eliminate the rest of the Khorne army and then deal with the Marauders. But yeah, just a personal opinion here. So, doesn't tabletop format mean you only have one build and cannot customize for each opponent? Yeah, it is, but I assume because of how many players we have in here, and General Eisenbart probably wants to make it a little bit more competitive because, like, if you go for a fixed army, then unfortunately you're basically fixed to it, and a lot of the outcome is basically dictated by luck. But if you can have a small degree of flexibility, you can adjust your units a bit more, then it's like you can have a little bit more control over your battles, and instead of like running into a worse army and just got straight up eliminated. And yeah, honestly, I think it's more fun this way, where people can actually have a little bit of agency to their build and have a better chance than just dictated by RNG, right? Now, okay, so that's done. Now, High Elves versus VP. RTK Yumais versus Bjorn, who is going by the name of VOD Bok Bok. Definitely, both of them are great players, and we'll see how it goes. I do think that the High Elves don't exactly have the greatest. Are they evenly matched, or is it a great match? Is it a tilted matchup for either side? Can't really be sure about that. I can't really say for sure, but yeah. Anyways, like, I don't think I play this matchup a lot, and we'll see. It's probably more favorable for the yeah, it's probably more favorable for the Vampire Coast. But anyways, for the army builds here, Lamprey's Revenge, mostly the same, really, as the other Vampire player. Let me just check their army builds. Bjorn. 4 bombers, 4 pistol mobs, 3 animated hulks, and 2 scurvy dogs, plus a Lamprey's Revenge and a single fleet admiral with a pistol with the lore of vampires. Also a single mortars at the back, which is great for dealing with high elf missile infantry, to be specific. Now the mortars are aiming at the Heralds of the Wind. They're trying to circle around and just shift enemy formation and trying to mess up the vampire formation before rushing them. Actually, what is Yumei's what is army build of Yumei's? Let me just pause it and have a look. I think it's a bunch of white lions. Need to check. Sorry. Phoenix King. Nope. Kilvane. Comask. What? All right. For White Lions, 1 Heralds of the Wind, 4 light armored archers, 1 regular archers, 1 regular reavers, and a couple silver helms. Okay, anyways, skirmishing phase, mortars dropping shots onto the Illyrian reavers, but their projectile speed is quite slow, and if your unit keeps moving, then they'll probably get missed. For cavalry at least. For infantry, maybe they'll still hit, due to infantry being rather slow, and the algorithm that calculates shooting trajectory can still take into account of the infantry movement speed. But the mortars are just not having a good time shooting at all, and the Heralds of the Wind will be approaching close enough to start getting pot shots on the mortars, while the front line of Yumeis is just constantly shifting around. Now the Heralds of the Wind are still shooting, so technically... Wait, what? Okay. They're still approaching, so technically the attacking rule is still fulfilled. It's just repositioning. And zombie gunnery mobs are shooting at Illyrian reavers. Definitely a miss micro there. They'll be quickly backing off away from the shooting range of the zombie powered gunnery mob. But at this point, Bjorn's formation is a bit messed up. A lot of these gunnery mobs are being shot by an archer, and these gunnery mobs, these pistol mobs are out of position without much support nearby, and they are charged easily by the silver helms, who are taking substantial damage. Oh god. Yeah, bombers are OP at this point. What the fuck? Half a unit gone despite their heavy armor. What the fuck? Anyways, the Heralds of the Wind are still shooting at the mortars, while the front line is not having a good time for the vampire coast, with all the archers eliminating the pistol mobs and then the bomber mobs. And then now the White Lions are charging into melee combat. Lamprey's Revenge are holding strong with all their armor and just healing. Scurvy Dogs charge into 1 unit of light armor archers, but they will still be surviving for a bit due to their melee defense from the martial prowess, and also their 40 armor. And then Death Guards are in the fray now, though, so they can expect some damage starting to inflict it upon the ranks of... Okay, it's not even the Death Guards doing damage. The damage are from the bomber mobs, nuking the archers and doing substantial damage to anything in the vicinity, really. On the far side, it seems that Bjorn has managed to repel the Heralds of the Wind and Illyrian Reavers due to a bit of micro, probably just splitting your attention on both sides of the battlefield makes you miss out some units at some point. Anyways, in the front line though, things are looking quite even somehow. Lamprey's Revenge no, these are not Lamprey's Revenge. Night Terrors getting charged into White Lions, and they're doing some nice armor piercing damage, but they're quite a... Oh, these are the Lamprey's Revenge. These are the Night Terrors. Yeah, anyways. They're quite a glass cannon unit, so they're taking substantial damage without any support nearby. And bombers are now tied down by White Lions, who are pushing for Illyrian Reavers. They should go back onto the gunnery mobs with bombs right now, because they don't want anything else to start damaging the Death Guards. They need to keep the Death Guards in there to handle the White Lions. Probably not, actually. But I don't know, like the whole... This is very much of a mess here. Lamprey's Revenge charging into White Lions. Their armor piercing... The White Lions armor piercing would be great against the Lamprey's Revenge, but then again, they do have regeneration and they will be holding plus solid defense stats at 59. So they're taking damage, but they are not going down as fast as everything else. Now the Death Guard has been finished off, unfortunately, by an overwhelming force of White Lions and Illyrian Reavers. And animated hosts have charged in, but there is still quite a bit of steam left on the Vampirate side. So we'll be seeing how the Vampirates can handle this, but they don't have the mobility, unfortunately for the Vampires, they don't have the mobility to handle the archers right now, so a lot of their stuff is getting shot up. Especially the light armored animated hulks. The Lamprey's Revenge are enjoying their time among a bunch of non-armor piercing silver helms though, so they are holding, but unfortunately now the silver helms are in the fray and they will probably start backing off at some point, though there are some animated hulks who are nearby enough to support. Wait, where is the Fleet Admiral? Oh, the Fleet Admiral is here. He does have Drown Dad summon, so he can probably drop some summons on the archers to stop them from shooting. But the main thing is they need to keep these two units alive. The Animated Hulks and the Lamprey's Revenge, the last two bastion of strength for the Vampire army. It's almost 9 minutes since the start of battle. More healing coming in their way, healing up the Lamprey's Revenge, trying to keep their models topped up. Every single model loss is a great loss for the Vampire Coast. While the Vampire Fleet Captain is still here. There's a bunch of dead Knight Terrors, but he's managing to tie down some of the archers, but now the archers are shooting at him. Missing quite a few shots, surprising enough. More stuff is swarming this little blob of vampire units here. Luckily for the vampires, zombie bomber mobs are here to buffer damage for the Lamprey's Revenge and the Animated Hulks. Okay, so more summons coming in. These time the gunnery summons, trying to shoot at enemy stuff. But then there are some white lines coming in to tie them down once more. The Fleet Captain should do great in melee against the non-armor piercing Archmage of Fire. And also with the shots, point blank, she'll be doing some solid damage. And then the zombie pirate gunnery mob will be just holding their ground. Lamprey's Revenge still holding, and their regeneration really coming in handy in this kind of late game clutch battles, as they are just outgrinding everything in the vicinity, although the white lines are getting some work done here. 500 damage, nothing too substantial, but still, damage is damage, especially against something that is healing. More invocation of Nahak to keep the Lamprey's Revenge topped up. Yeah, what you see is what you get right now. There's nothing else for the... Yeah, there's nothing coming back on the other side. Although we are in the corner and there's nothing behind us. Now, let's see. Lamprey's Revenge almost hitting the heal cap, and they are breaking some white lines of trace. A zombie summon got dropped into the middle here, buffering the Vampire Fleet Captain, while the Animated Hulks are charging around, being shot heavily by a whole lot of archers here. They probably will go down soon. And it really comes down to whether the Lamprey's Revenge can carry this game. They are carrying indeed. 200 kills, 1,700 gold worth of damage value, and the Vampire Fleet Captain is just trying to run down everything she can see. The zombies are now tying down white lines here so that the Animated Hulks can do some last bit of damage before they are finally shot up by all these archers. They somehow managed to survive that long. Crumbling, great mechanic. Yeah. Okay, so whether... Now, this is a problem of whether the High Elves have enough ammo to finish off enemy troops. They're pushing, chasing after... things are looking quite bleak for the High Elves, to be fair. Their Lord is low in health. Flaming Sword of Ruin is buffing up their missile damage, which is great. And good news is that the Lamprey's Revenge are heal capped, so there's no more regeneration for them, and every damage they take is permanent, and they will be soon start to lose stuff in general. Now, zombie gunnery mob is dropped onto the battlefield. Oof, this is quite close, but the fear attribute on all these zombies, and that's gonna affect the archers with light armor. They can still fight, but unfortunately, unfortunately they are routing because of the fear. Frightened by enemy units -8. That is very, very crucial here, as they are now down to negative leadership. It is a chain rout of archers from just because of these zombie pirate gunnery mob. And being so close to the Vampire Fleet Captain with pistol, the Archmage is having a tough time staying alive. There's still one more shot. There's still one more shot from the Vampire Fleet Captain Admiral. And zombie pirate gunnery mobs are chasing after archers. They probably can shoot a bit and even thin out the archers even more. And that's probably it. That's probably game for the archers, as probably game for the High Elves, as their archers got chased down by the shooting zombie pirate gunnery mob. The last bit of archers got pinned army losses is quickly approaching, and that will be game. And unfortunately, High Elves cannot carry this game. It was High Elf favorite in game 2, but a lot has changed since. Yes, indeed. But yeah, with a lot of stuff changing, like say, animated Hulk somehow got buffed. I have no idea why it got buffed. Like I don't think it even have a change in stats, but somehow it got stronger, and we're seeing a lot more people playing animated Hulks. And also, mortars are just good against archers in general. So yeah, well. That's just sad times for archers. But yeah. Mr. Casual, hey Leech, how's the stream going? Yeah, the stream's going quite decent now. There's no moderating needed. I'm just casting replays, so everything's controlled. It seems that nobody's complaining about frame rates or stuttering. So far the internet's going okay. I wouldn't say it's the best quality internet I have right now, but at least I'm not. I had to lower the stream quality by a little bit. But I think, the resolution-wise is still fine. Yeah. But yeah. Mr. Toyful, that sounds a nightmare to moderate. Yeah, that's why the whole game wasn't cast live, because General Eisenbart is doing the majority of the moderation and he has to check the replays and just to make sure everything's fine and all that. I offered to stream live, but the offer did not go through because of how much extra work would put on him. Like, it's just not feasible because it would start delaying like games and all that, and we have a shit ton of games with double elimination brackets. Everyone had fun, and that's the most important part, and then we can catch up on the action afterwards, which is what's happening right now. Anyways, army performances. White Lions, they are now a much more solid unit and did some great damage against the armored units of Lamprey's Revenge. Rangers, not doing too well here. Probably shot up and bombed by the bomber mobs and pistol mobs. Archers did fine. They managed to shut up a whole bunch of gunnery mobs and bomber mobs, but unfortunately in the end there's a lack of melee troops to keep enemy units at bay for them to shoot. And they don't have enough armor piercing to quickly nuke down the Lamprey's Revenge and allow it to basically heal cap itself, as well as the vampire fleet captain admiral. Mobility-wise, a bit of mistake with the Heralds of the Wind being caught early by a bunch of zombies and animated Hulks, probably because of how far stretched the battles are. So the attention where the player struggled to pay attention to every engagement, which definitely would happen to me. So, Illyrian Reavers not doing too much here, and the Burning Heads. I don't think I've seen that many Burning Heads. I remember I remember seeing a bunch of Flaming Sword of Ruin. That's probably why. That's probably the buff for the archers there to do more damage against the Vampire Coast. Now, Vampire Coast, Lamprey's Revenge, as always, carrying the entire game with their heavy armor, high melee defense, and regeneration, plus their shotgun, their shotguns on their back. Death Guards did pretty solid stuff. Not enough to recover their own value, but their hunger regeneration plus a bit of invocation of the hack kept them long enough to cut down the archers and White Lions. They actually trade well against White Lions despite the armor piercing White Lions because of how great they are in melee combat. They have frenzy, they have healing, they have heavy armor, they have anti-infantry, they have great weapon strength. So even the armor of the White Lions isn't enough to trade well against the Death Guards. Mortars not doing much here, being shut down early. But the animated Hulks did okay. Nothing too amazing here. What the 1,000 gold worth of damage value on a bomber. And these guys cost like, what, 500? This is ridiculous. The others, not so much. It's really just this one unit of bomber, really. But what about the rest? Zombie mobs with their handgun, with their pistols doing minimal damage, being shot up by all the archers. But yeah, Lamprey's Revenge. OP. Alright, Give me a second, just gonna hydrate a bit more. Okay, so this time Yomais versus Wolstaben. The High Elf versus the Tomb Kings. And yeah, let's jump right in. We've seen their army cores, so we don't have to repeat again. Especially we've just seen Yomais. Now Wolstaben, again, the army core is free, Ushabti's free, Ushabti with great bows, and then a Capra Guard and Arcane the Black. I think there's also some skeletons. I don't remember. But yeah. That's the majority of it. And we wait for the game to load. It's like, General Eisenbart, that's a great game to watch. Really? Okay. I haven't seen the game yet, so I'm looking forward to the battle itself then. Now, with a quite speedy, monstrous infantry being your artillery unit, what you can do is kite, which sometimes the ogres do. Yeah, the ogres do that too, but I personally don't do that. It's too much micro for my liking. I just can't. But anyways, with the Ushabtis opening fire, the Illyrian Reavers taking the brunt of the hits, and quite a few casualties coming in, losing quite a few, oof, and 14 unit models down. And then now the White Lions are the ones taking the damage here, while the Screaming Skulls are dumping their shots onto the archers, hoping to shut down the High Elf firepower. Also, the Sisters of Avalon here being brought onto the field. Their armor piercing and flaming damage would be quite decent against Tomb Guards. Not Tomb Guards, but Tomb Kings. But yeah, they would be the prime target of a lot of Screaming Skull catapults, though they do have a bit of a shooting issue. Some of them actually collide onto the trees in front of them. Unfortunately, you do not want to deploy artillery in trees. They'll get their shots blocked. I mean, right now, yeah, well, yep, just right there, blocked. Yeah, that's why you don't. Yeah, this entire unit of Screaming Skull catapults are just not you doing much at this point. But yeah, anyways, at the back, the High Elves still are taking substantial damage. The archers bunching up quite a bit as they were targeting the same unit of Ushabtis. An upgraded Plague of Rust is dropped onto one of the Ushabtis, hoping to boost up the damage from the archers, but unfortunately they pulled back away, and the archers were not able to get a shot onto them. Now the ability is still in fact. Finally, a shot got onto the Ushabtis, and they will start pulling back now. While the mobility are now surging into the back line here, charging in, silencing one of the Screaming Skulls. But then again, this Screaming Skull catapult doesn't do much because of the trees anyway, so well. On the side, the White Lions took massive damage from what? Ushabtis, and probably some of the shots from the Ushabtis with great bows and Screaming Skulls. But anyways, they are absolutely done for. Wait, did Arcane the Black brought Fate of Buna? Oh, it's probably the Fate of Buna. I saw a tint of purple there, so that's probably why. Okay. Sisters of Avalon once again being the prime target of the Screaming Skull catapults. They are getting shot, but the leadership debuff wouldn't be that devastating for them. One of the Ushabtis with great bow got caught, and this will be a devastating mistake for the Tomb Kings. While the White Lions, a solid melee unit these days, they do have enough melee stats to hold on against a lot of these units, and also heavy armor, even against the Capra Guard, who only has 41 melee attack, plus bonus versus infantry. That's wait, sorry. Yeah, they do have bonus versus infantry of 9, so 50 melee attack against the 40 melee defense. Plus heavy armor, the White Lions should hold decent. And also an overcast Searing Doom here, trying to nuke up all those Capra Guard. On the side, skeletons are pushing, but the Silverhounds are sacrificing themselves to hold back all these Ushabtis and skeletons, allowing the archers to continue to fire. These archers got a misclick here. I swear, ever since we got into game 3, I had a lot more like missing attack orders, and instead of attacking, the archers would just walk towards a unit, and yeah, just got wrecked like that. But anyways, they can salvage the situation by pulling back while the archers are cross-firing. Screaming Skulls, one of them are still firing. Actually, two of them are still firing. This time with the angle being adjusted quite a bit, the shots from the Screaming Skulls are less blocked. But then the Heralds of the Wind are charging in to just slay this Screaming Skull catapult in melee combat. White Lions also push through the skeletons and are now pressuring the Ushabtis with great bows. And with the Ushabtis standing directly in front of the Screaming Skull catapults, they cannot back off because that will shut down the artillery, as the White Lions will be pushing onto them. So they will be standing their ground and taking a lot of damage from there. Now at the back, at least some of these Ushabtis are pushing back the archers, but one of them is the summon unit, and they will be disappearing soon. This is the second stage, and they're now in the second stage and will be disappearing after this. Another Searing Doom here, thinning out the skeleton warriors, and this permanent Ushabti is still fighting, but against armor-piercing White Lions, they are not getting a great trade. Skeletons, spears, and skeleton summons are dropped onto the White Lions, overwhelming them with sheer numbers plus the fear from the Ushabtis. The leadership of the White Lions are wavering. Screaming Skull catapults are still firing, and with a nice job stopping the High Elf advance here, the Screaming Skulls are still online. But the thing is, the flanks are going in favor of the High Elves. Ushabtis, this one being debuffed by the Plague of Rust and shot up by 2 archers, will not be performing great. Again, yeah, they will be taking noticeable damage and will have limited effectiveness on the battlefield, and the White Lions plus the High Elf mobility is simply way too much for the Screaming Skull catapults. They will, for the backline defenses of Tomb Kings, the Screaming Skull catapults will be overwhelmed and eliminated, leaving a blob of Tomb Kings units. Although the balance of power now is in favor of the Tomb Kings. Very balanced. Like, the Tomb Kings right now is just overwhelmed by everything. Like, a lot of stuff is being tied down, cross-fired. But I assume the reason why the balance of power is still in favor of the Tomb Kings is that most of the High Elf units, despite their fighting power, is very tattered. For example, here there are still 2 Ushabtis fighting, and they can. One of them has their full unit intact. One of them still have 10 models remaining. And yeah, they can dish out still quite a lot of damage here. Really comes down to whether the archers can outtrade the Ushabtis in the firefight. Now the Archmage of Metal is being heavily targeted by the Ushabtis, a great choice as they do want to eliminate those missiles, those magic support for the High Elf army. And the Skeleton Spears are just pushing all these archers, going for a little tour around the map. Some of the Illyrian Reavers have regrouped, now charging into the Ushabtis once again, silencing them. But the problem is they are not doing enough damage. They're trying to overwhelm the Ushabtis, pushing them into crumbling a bit, but that's not doing much damage here. And they will be stabilizing their leadership soonish. Now minus 19. Okay. So okay, they're still crumbling, but leadership finally stabilized, and they will not be taking much damage afterwards. Well, last of the Kepra card is done 4. Literally had to be beaten by a mage, and actually last 2 of the Kepra cards. Either ways, the Tomb Kings are still having an advantage here because of their firepower and skeleton summons, but that is only in terms of balance of power. I still think the High Elves have more than enough to win this game, as long as they can keep pressuring the Ushabtis and stopping them from firing, or yeah, just do damage to them. Anyways, over here, archers with their light armor being surrounded by skeleton spears, while the Ushabtis over here are chasing down the archers with their light armor, getting over 100 kills and 788 gold worth of damage value. Supported by some spears, they should be able to pressure a whole lot of these archers. Balance of power is more and more in favor of the that's why more and more in favor of the Tomb Kings, because of the Ushabtis keep shooting these Silver Helms and the White Lions up. But a nice Plague of Rust plus a rear charge from the Heralds of the Wind allows them to dish out a little bit more damage before they completely shatters from the combat damage. But now the archers are able to shoot at the Ushabtis, but they still have full models left. So unfortunate enough for the High Elves. Although good news is that one skeleton warrior is disappearing, the summon one. And another one, the skeleton spears are being bombarded by both Searing Doom and some archers, their volleys of arrows. Plus a whole lot of archers are regrouping, now able to start firing onto the Ushabti with great bows, slowly dishing out damage and steadily dishing out damage to these Ushabtis in a firefight. But the Ushabtis have their priorities right. They want to snipe out the leadership first and just really push the balance of power against the High Elves. And the Archmage of Metal is running low on HP. Who can win first? Like, is the Ushabtis gonna snipe out the Archmage first, or are the archers gonna outtrade the Ushabtis first? That's gonna be a that's gonna be an annoying. That's gonna be the real question here. Plus, Arkan the Black still on his chariot can easily disrupt a lot of these archers. The skeleton spears are crumbling, but with the last Spirit Leech, it might be enough. Yeah, it's more than enough to finish off the Archmage, and the Archmage will be breaking. One last Searing Doom though, thinning out the archers even more. Thinning out the skeleton spears even more, but the Ushabtis are just refusing to take damage, unfortunately for them. And oh shit, yep, the Spirit Leech finished off the Metal Mage. There goes the magic support plus leadership for the High Elves. That leaves only the archers. And, oh wait, there's still a Sisters of Avalon. Maybe they can carry. We'll see. But they're shooting at the archers here. Not the greatest target. But yeah, the Sisters of Avalon shooting at Arkan the Black, but they need to switch around and shoot the Ushabtis. They need their armor piercing, but unfortunately that seems to not be the case here. They need the armor piercing to finish off the Ushabtis, but yeah. Unfortunately, they just got screened away by Arkan and some skeleton summons, I suppose. But yeah, with one final skeleton summon emerging from the ground, that basically triggered army losses, tipping the balance of power. Jason Thompson, archers have been so messed up in game 3. Yeah, I agree. It also doesn't help that it's harder to target them these days. Sometimes you just miss the click for whatever the fucking reason. I don't know why, but it's just harder to click in game 3. But anyways, army performances. Sisters of Avalon didn't earn back their valor, but did okay enough, I guess. But White Lion's still a solid front line, but unfortunately against Ushabtis, they took a lot of damage still. Silver and Khorne. Now, theoretically, it is a great defensive unit, but I think it's probably better if he just brought another White Lions, just for the armor piercing. Archmage of Metal, the Searing Dooms are great. Plague of Rust, also solid choice against Tomb Kings with the debuff to armor, making the archers much more effective, helping them to do more damage, but they only manage to barely recover their value, really, as they are outranged and outgunned by the Ushabti with great bows, and also bombarded by the Screaming Skulls. Wait. Yeah, one of them didn't do much damage here. I assume this is like the one blocked by the trees. The other did a bit better, but really it's just the Ushabtis carrying the game. Yeah, the Ushabti did the majority of damage, and somehow Arkan the Black. Yeah. Kemper guy also did some decent stuff, but yeah, somehow that's not a lot of value on any of these units. Wait, what? It's probably because of they conserve the damage, like they conserve their HP enough to crush enemy in terms of balance of power, I suppose. And also Spirit Leech is pretty decent from Arkan the Black. Now, final 6 battles. This is gonna be an interesting one, because this will be actually 2 players playing the same matchup twice. Spoiler alert, in this battle one of them lost, and then they have another rematch afterwards. So Shogunik, Red Ogre spam, plus ice warlock Giselles, a kick claw plus avalanche mortars, and then also a bunch of poison wind globadiers. And while on the opposite side, shit, what's the name? I need to check the name of the player again. Let's see. Shogunek. Coitus Interfratres. It feels weird to say that name every time. Anyways, front line, a bunch of pirate gunnery mob, backed up by handgun mob and bomber mob, and then a whole lot of animated hulks, plus a couple carronades for their firepower long range to snipe out Skaven artillery. Anyways, sirens at the back, a bit of a terror plus, yeah, they cost terror, yep. A bit of a terror causing trait plus physical resistance, but more importantly, the most important thing really is the terror to deal with the low leadership of the Skaven. Scurvy dogs at the back, and yeah. The carronades would be focusing fire on the avalanche mortars, doing substantial damage, as they do outrange the avalanche mortars by a lot. 250 range on the avalanche mortars and 450 on the carronades. And you can see that they are quickly sniping out the most devastating firepower of the entire Skaven roster, getting a bit of an advantage in the early game. The Warlock Giselles approach a bit too close, trying to snipe the carronades, and now the zombie pirate deckhand mobs, gunnery mobs, can start opening fire onto them. Now there are some night runners on the field, giving a bit more mobility to the Skavens. But the thing is, can they actually outtrade all those zombie pirate gunnery mobs and do what they're supposed to do? We'll be witnessing this. Anyways, at the back here, Warp Lightning dishing out some minor damage against the handguns, which are already opening fire onto a kick claw plus some. No, the cannons are still trading against the Warlock Giselles and are trading great at that because of 3 whole units shooting at 1 unit. Normally, the Warlock Giselles would be great at sniping out enemy artillery, but, well, being overwhelmed by sheer numbers, they can't really do much here. In the front line, all these Skavens got deleted by the bomber mobs, even after they took so much damage. Damn. But as a result, the poison in return, the poison wind globadiers also dropped in some shots onto the pistol mobs, doing some pretty nice damage. Animated hulks charging in, but being swarmed by a combination of red ogres and red ogres. Just 2 red ogres stacking on top of the animated hulks. They will be quickly eliminated, while clan rats, with the interception of the against the animated hulks, they are able to get onto some handgun mobs, stop them from firing. While on the other side here, sirens pushing over to help the animated hulks against the red ogres, while the zombie pirate gunnery mob will be shooting. Bad news for Skavens. Red ogres, they are terrified by the sirens. This is why sirens are so nice against Skavens. They do rely on physical resistance and are quite vulnerable to enemy poison wind globadiers, but the terror comes in quite effective against the Skavens' low leadership. Anyways, front line, all the zombies deckhand mob summons. Yep, that's a summon. Plus the summon gunnery mob are pushing away the Skaven front line, and the carronades are able to continuously firing at the important Skaven targets, including a kick claw and some of these Warlock Giselles, while the push on the flanks by the Skavens are stopped by a combination of animated hulks and sirens. Now, animated hulks, they are still quite healthy, but do they have enough steam to just stop? Yeah, they're quite healthy. Yeah, they should have enough steam to stop all these red ogres. Finally, 1 red ogre getting onto one of the carronades, but there are still 2 more on the field, plus a handgun turning around to shoot them down. Things are not looking great for them for sure. Balance of power tipping against the Skavens as well. A lot of attrition damage coming a lot of attrition damage. They are suffering from the vampire firepower plus carronades and just chip damage from the non-armor piercing troops, the chaff. Things are not looking great. Plus the lack of magic damage against sirens right now, forcing the red ogres to pay a heavy toll. Their melee attack is also lower due to the contact effect by the sirens here. Charmed effect, -8 attack, and yeah, they just have poor stats at this point. -8 attack, and they only have 18 attack. And well, although it doesn't make a great difference against the pirate gunnery pistol mobs, but it does make a difference against the animated hulks who do have 24 melee defense, substantially reducing their hit chance. And now at the back, the Carronades are still firing despite being charged by the red ogres, and they should be able to eliminate the Warlock Giselle soonish. While the Warlock Giselle is now basically giving up on the Carronades, trying to snipe out Nautilus, but he's just hiding among his chaff, using his minions to shield damage, but waiting for the army losses to hit the Skavens. Overall, the triple Carronade build definitely worked out, sniping out some of the most devastating firepower from the Skaven roster, and limiting the avalanche firepower. And after that, and without the artillery support, the Skavens just struggle to push through the hordes of chaff from the Vampire Coast. All the zombie mobs, the animated hulks, the sirens, the scary dogs, all of that is just for slowing down enemy advance and perhaps doing some attrition damage to them. Skaven slaves no match for the explosive bombers. They are indeed quite OP these days, and yeah, all the Skaven chaff got wrecked. And without the artillery doing the damage, the red ogres cannot carry the game here, as they are just taking massive damage from everything on the Vampire Coast roster and just not doing enough, especially when terror routed by the sirens. And due to the fact that this game is a due to the fact that this tournament is a double elimination bracket format, we actually see a rematch between the two players, as Sugarneck, after losing this first battle of Skaven versus Vampire Coast, clawed his way back to the more advanced stages in the elimination in the losers brackets, and also no, this is a different player. Anyways, doesn't matter. He'll be going for a rematch of he was clawing his way back from the losers bracket and going for another rematch against a Vampire Coast army, but this time is against a different player, against Bjorn, who is going for a slightly different build with an additional unit of Lamprey's Revenge. Now, there are less zombies here, but they do have a very sturdy backbone of Lamprey's Revenge. Army builds wise, there is not much else worth noting. Pretty much a similar build from Sugarneck. Less Night Runners perhaps. Going for more investment in... Wait, what did he spend on? I don't see much. It's probably the same build actually. Yeah, it's probably the same build. While Bjorn is going for 2 Carronades deployed at the back and trying to just go for a very dispersed formation, going for a layered defense so that it can delay the enemy advance and buy more time for the Carronades to fire. Carronades. Yeah. Such a tongue twister. Oh, there are indeed some scurvy dogs circling around. And they might be sneaking into the Skaven backline to shut down their firepower. But as long as Sugarneck keep a close, tight formation with the red ogres around the avalanche mortars, it should be fine. Yeah. Anyways, the Carronades should be able to start firing at the Poison Wing Globadiers. Not the avalanche mortars. Definitely a big mistake here, I think. They need to start push up a bit. But seems that Sugarneck has learned his lesson. As soon as the Carronades are pushing forward, the avalanche mortars are pulling back. And at this point, the Vampire army might have to just pull back a bit to just close the distance between their units and the Carronade, so the Carronade can keep provide cover fire for the infantry. But now the Carronades are now getting their shots reached against the avalanche mortars, but the avalanche mortars have already deleted 1 pistol mob. In the front line, animated hulks charging in. Bombers somehow not firing. The other firing bomber directly deleted this one whole unit of shattered. Yeah, it's entirely shattered with a combination of pistol fire and bomber fire. More Yeah, also more animated hulks are pushing forward, but these sneaky gutter runners, they do have stock. So yeah, Beyond could not see them until it's way too late, and they're now shooting at the carronades here, shutting down that vampire artillery. Although the front line is going in the favor of vampires for now, though the avalanche mortars are still existing on the battlefield. So yeah, things are not looking too great for the Skaven front line, but their back line is pretty much active. Plus they're shutting down the carronades now. And wait, why are they? What? Okay, this is a mistake here. The carronades are shooting at the red ogres, but they really need to start shutting down the avalanche mortars. Although there are some animated hulks charging in, should do some nice damage, but whether they can do enough, that's a real question here, as they are taking massive crumbling damage and disintegrated straight up after a rear charge from a kick claw. Plus their sirens, oh no, they're not chasing after the poison globadiers, allowing stuff like warlock Jezzails and everything else really to just countercharge. Scurvy dogs finally tying down the avalanche mortars, but the problem is that they do not have enough armor piercing, and they can't do enough burst damage to the avalanche mortars fast enough, allowing the wolf rats to recharge them and tie them down. With the support of a kick claw, they should be able to work down the scurvy dogs in no time. Plus these gutter runners absolutely paying for themselves. 680 gold value, and now going for a second carronade. Yeah, they're just gonna eliminate both armies, both artillery support for the Vampire Coast player. Now sirens, they are charging. They are now tying down the warlock Jezzails, but a kick claw is here to save them. So, plus there are some poison wing globadiers are coming in to dish out the damage with their magic missiles, causing massive pain again for the sirens. Now, as you can see here, they hit and they dish out some sharp, dish out some sharp damage right there. Bombers are still shooting, but the bombers are not like the prime carry unit at this point. It is instead any kind of firepower they still have with their pistols. Let's see. Lamprey's Revenge are finally here, like crushing through the Skaven front line. The thing is, there are still some poison wing globadiers that can very effectively eliminate them. Sirens are chasing after the avalanche mortars, but they did drop their attack order right there, allowing the Skaven slave spears to screen them out. Plus a bit of invocation of the hack from the fleet captain trying to sustain them in combat, but they're not enjoying it at all, as the magic missiles from a kick claw is perhaps doing some nasty damage for them. Flensing runes constantly draining the health of this vampire blob, forcing them to split up. But now the warlock Jezzails are shooting at the Lamprey's Revenge, just trying to snipe them out. Good thing is that good thing for the Skaven really is the avalanche mortars are back online again and are now bombarding blobs of zombie pirate infantry support. And the zombies are these are summoned, so they can't stay on the field for too long, worsening balance of power of the vampires. They did manage to destroy the avalanche mortars, but then here comes the red ogres with their armor piercing damage. Sirens continuously trying to chase off the warlock Jezzails. The vampires might still have it. Might. Not a for sure thing, but they still might have this with their constant regeneration and healing. Sirens still trying to chase off the warlock Jezzails, as they are the main threat against the Lamprey's Revenge. The Lampreys do not have enough speed right now to catch up with the Sirens, and they're just doing some chip damage against a kick claw. Bad news for the Vampire Coast. Warlock Jezzails have came back. The Sirens are there, but they are soon to be disappearing. They are just basically crumbling away, quite fast even, and that disintegrates them. This allows the Skavens to just obtain supreme firepower, using the warlock Jezzails to shoot up the Lamprey's Revenge, and the armor doesn't mean shit against the warlock Jezzails armor piercing missiles, and healing might have to be the only thing that save the Lamprey's Revenge from being completely sniped. But that is no easy task, as there are more Skaven missiles coming in. Poison Wing Globadiers. That is gonna hurt if they start hitting up the Lamprey's Revenge. Their armor piercing is cost effective, and they do have the Poison Wind in fact to even drain away even more damage. Drain away even more health from the Lamprey's Revenge. Ignoring that armor is a direct effect after all. Balance of power stabilizing for a bit for the Vampires, but once the Poison Wing Globadiers hit, things are not looking good for the Lamprey's Revenge. The Vampire Fleet Captain will be coming in with a bit of a pistol mob summon. But is that going to be enough to deal with the Poison Wing Globadiers? We will see. We shall see. Oh, might be not. An immediate reaction with the Brass Orb. Now, the damage is nice, but the more important part is it knocked off a lot of pirate gunnery mob off their feet. And just keep them staggered, preventing them from firing at the Poison Wing Globadiers. And the Lamprey's Revenge now finally charging into the Poison Wing Globadiers, silencing them, but a Kick Claw is still very healthy, and the Warlock Giselles are still firing. And the fact that there's nothing for the Vampires to stop those Giselles is a major issue, and they still have, what, 7 volleys left? Oof, that's gonna hurt. The Lamprey's Revenge are also close to healing cap, so things are not looking great. They're pushing, but they're now almost on their healing cap. They're charging into the Red Ogres, but leadership not holding up too well here, especially when shot by the Gutter Runners with poison, further reducing their damage output. Cleansing Ruin. Wait, how is this a half and half? How is this a half and half balance of power? This makes no sense. Anyways, crumbling. They're crumbling, but they're also regenerating. So, oh no, it seems that the Warlock Giselles is able to outmatch their regeneration, and balance of power is slowly reaching, slowly approaching army losses for the Vampires. Yep. Let's see. Man, these Warlock Giselles clutched the game for Shogunate right there. If not for these Warlock Giselles, the Lamprey's Revenge could have carried the whole thing by themselves, by heal capping themselves even. The Gutter Runners with poison as well, debuffing enemy units, but more importantly, just shutting down both units of Carronate. Damn, talk about cost-effective usage. Yeah, but the rest of the army not doing quite well, but really it's just multiple units carrying the game. 3,400 gold damage from a Kick Claw with the Flensing Ruins and whatnot. Holy shit. Poison Wing Globadiers didn't do too much here, but yeah, mostly just a single entity and just basically carried the game by 3 or 4 units. Yeah. In contrast, the Vampire Coals here, yeah, the Carronates didn't do much here, being shut down early by the Gutter Runners. Very nice sneak attack. And Bombers did okay. And yeah, Lamprey's Revenge definitely a carry unit here, but just not enough to carry against Warlock Giselles, being a large, bulky, slow unit. That is like the perfect target for the Warlock Giselles. Let's see what else. 4 more replays. This time, Kilvane versus Bjorn. Gaspura, my impression is that we are all the time rotating between the same 6 factions all the time. Unfortunately, it is basically what's happening in the multiplayer scene. Yeah. Like, it's always High Elves, Dark Elves, Tomb Kings, Vampirates. And that's why I'm just constantly using Ogres, because nobody ever uses Ogres except me and a couple, 2-3 other players. And what else? Yeah. I also sometimes use Empire. But, that's also why I try to use Streltsies all the time, because they are a cool unit. Just that, they are not exactly... Like, Kislev is weak right now. Anyways, army build. Front line of Marauders, backed up by triple Minotaurs of Khorne, 2 Furies, 2 Chaos Warhounds, and Valkia the Bloody. 2 more Marauder horses with their throwing axes, while Bjorn here is a front line of zombie deckhand mobs, plus gunnery mobs, plus a whole lot of... No, this is not Bjorn. This is not Bjorn. This is... Wait, hold on a second. Who's this? Let me just check. Give me a second. Wait, this is a... No, this is Beyond. Okay. Yeah, this is Beyond. Vampire Fleet Captain. That's the only... Yeah, okay. Yeah, Lamprey's Revenge. Okay, that's Beyond. Anyways, the Lamprey's Revenge with their shotguns are opening fire at the Marauder Horsemen of Khorne, doing some pretty nice damage alongside with some zombie pirate pistol mobs. But the Warhounds are now swarming the gunnery mob, the pistol mobs, and trying to deal with them. Death Guards are charging in, and their anti-infantry attacks will be eliminating the Chaos Warhounds in a quick hurry, while Lamprey's Revenge will be pulling away from the armor-piercing throwing axes. There's also the Bloody Reaver Death Guard, providing some elite backbone for the Vampire army. Bombers just deleting Marauders of Khorne left and right with their explosions, and yeah, sad news for the Marauder front line. But at least some of the Marauder front line managed to get into combat, tying down the pistol mobs and some of the bomber mobs. Furies are also swarming in, while Valkyria, alongside with some Furies and Hounds, are trying to swarm this left flank of the Vampire coast. Now, with the attention of the enemy captured in the front line, finally the Minotaurs can charge into combat, just basically wrecking all those zombies in melee combat with their massive charge. Unfortunately, though, some of them are tied down by a combination of animated hulks and Bloody Reaver Death Guard. Especially with that Enrage providing 40% damage resistance, the Minotaurs would be doing limited work against all these elite Death Guards. On the far side, Marauders of Khorne, yeah, being caught up by the not Bloody Reavers, by the regular Death Guards. Not a good time for them, taking some pretty substantial damage. Also, a pretty bad retreating route. They need to like pull this way and maybe turn around instead of trying to push through all these Death Guards. Like all the stuck units in there are taking a lot of extra damage. Minotaurs finally finish off the animated hulks, charging into the Lamprey's Revenge. On the far side, Minotaurs also broken through. Unfortunately, though, one of these Minotaurs being tied down by Bloody Reavers and the animated hulks got eliminated early. Valkyria the Bloody still trying to dive bomb animated hulks with the armor piercing and anti-large, while the Lamprey's Revenge, finally, a melee engagement that can quickly shut them down. Anti-large armor piercing Minotaurs surrounding them, overwhelming this one unit, definitely outpowering their regeneration and armor. And yeah, without any support surrounding them, the Lamprey's Revenge will be quickly eliminated, leaving really the Death Guards to carry the game. Whether they can carry it, we shall see. Let's see. On the far side, some Minotaurs have returned alongside the Marauders, and the balance of power is against the Khorne army right now, which is definitely not great news, as they really rely on getting that early engagement advantage here. They do not have any healing, and the Vampire Coast can simply heal back and keep topping up that balance of power. And if Khorne cannot get an advantage early game, then in late game they will struggle. Marauders of Khorne, they are coming back to charge down the gunnery mobs, the pistol mobs, but unfortunately the pistol mobs have already done way too much damage to the Minotaurs. In the middle here, Valkyria, who was supported by some of the Minotaurs, but unfortunately once the Lamprey's Revenge are still here. Damn. Anyways, once the Lamprey's Revenge got the support of the Death Guards, yeah, the Minotaurs would not like it. And leaving Valkyria alone in this blob fight. And balance of power is slowly tipping to army losses here. On the far side, Marauders are breaking from all the monsters and melee attrition. Minotaurs returning, hoping to do some last bit of damage, but taking damage from the fleet captain's pistol instead. And that will be routing the Minotaurs. Valkyria will be routing. Army losses is there. Yeah, and Khorne's rush will be stopped. Probably too many Minotaurs in there, I think. Maybe less Minotaurs and just more mobility. For example, Flesh Hounds. Flesh Hounds would be great in shutting down all those missiles, but yeah. Khorne is rough. Khorne is rough. Can't really say much about this matchup. Death Guards did great. Lamprey's Revenge held. They actually held against two Minotaurs with great weapons. Oh, God. Speaking about OP. Yeah. What else? Animated hulks and a combination of bomber mobs really wreck those light armored Marauder frontline there. And yeah, pistol mobs, they're very cost effective. Like with such a low melee stats, the difference in melee, the difference in survivability between the melee mobs and the pistol mobs are not that different, and it's probably better if you can have the shooting power of the pistol mob. So yeah, pistol mobs are very cost effective for what they do. Animated Hulks, yeah, did okay, but that's about it. While the Khorne army, Minotaurs did okay, but this one not so much, being tied down by animated Hulks and then cut down by Blood Reavers. What else? Marauders did minimal damage. Throwing axes did some. This one did okay, not enough for its own value, but the other also not so much. What else? Mobility, yeah, not a lot of good targets to swarm this time. Like they can try to swarm pistol mobs, do some decent damage, but their leadership isn't great. And once they start taking combat attrition, and the fear on the zombie mob will be dumping their leadership down to negatives, enough to be routed. Okay, these are, and now we're on the semi-finals level. Yeah, some of the semi-finals, and perhaps this is like the quarterfinals. Either ways, Saber's Regnum versus Bjorn. Wait, this is no, this is not. No, this is Coitus. Big D, it was very close to shutting down the shooting flank. Those units were so low. Unfortunately, with the tenacity of wait, was this for the Skaven fight or the Vampire versus Khorne fight? Actually, I might not. I didn't read the chat back there, but yeah. Anyways, Jaima, I prefer a Khorne kiting army list. It would definitely be nice against. I don't know if you can kite against Vampire. Yeah, I don't know if you can kite against Vampires, because they do have the artillery firepower to deal with your kiting, but yeah, maybe a more mobility fighting list. Yeah, a Khorne kite army with a majority of Fleshhounds, Warhounds, and Minotaurs might be great. But anyways, army builds for Saber's Regnum, this time not for a box, a front line of spears backed up by 2 huntsmen and a single war wagon, also a mortar right at the back, 2 mortars in fact, and 3 mortars actually, and a bunch of halberdiers. The goat spearman is definitely gonna have to hold the line, while the Vampire army from Coitus is going for a melee rush build. Well, a ranged rush build. A ranged rush build versus hold the line build from Empire army. This time they're going for a bit more of a wait, this is yeah, Count Nautilus. So, oh no, there's a Carronade right there, and that's gonna deal with the mortars quite effectively. And also some extra sirens, plus a whole bunch of scurvy dogs. Okay, let's fast forward here a bit as the Carronades are approaching shooting distance, trying to snipe out the mortars, who are opening fire at the zombie pirate pistol mobs, trying to eliminate the infantry support of the Vampires, which is not a bad call. But now they're switching over to shoot at the Carronades. I don't think it's the greatest choice. It's probably better if they just try to like shoot the infantry from the Vampires as much as possible, eliminate their try to get as much damage as you can as with the mortars before they are finally destroyed by enemy Carronades. Like you can see that despite doing some pretty noticeable damage on the Carronades, because the Carronades are Vampire units, so they don't get routed and they will just kind of slowly crumble or just doesn't care. And instead the mortars are now taking substantial damage from all those Carronade shots, so things are looking quite rough at the start. The spears are holding, even when charged by sirens and the animated hulks. Boris Todbringer has dropped in to support, trying to hunt down the animated hulks, but there's a lot of armor-piercing fire coming in from the back. 2-3 handgun mobs that can crossfire at Boris Todbringer is gonna make it quite rough for him. war wagons, they need to start activate the war wagons as well to start dishing out damage with their handguns at the back. Spears will be holding back all the animated hulks, and with their gold chevron melee status, they should be able to do so. At this point, one of the mortars have been completely destroyed, the other two continuously bombing all the zombie pirate gunnery mob, but unfortunately for the empires, the bombers are able to dish out maximum damage with their very cost-effective shots. Very cost-effective explosions against the lightly armored spearmen troops. Even the gold chevrons are not able to save them from the explosions. At the back, the missile core of the Empire is basically gravely threatened by scurry dogs and summons, and also vampires summons spawning in. More zombies are being summoned by Count Nautilus as expected for a grand summoning vampire master. War wagons are now shooting, but there's just not a lot of good targets for them to shoot. The best thing they can shoot at is probably animated hulks, but then they're still quite cheap. They're shooting at Count Nautilus now, so not a bad target, just that he's a foot character, so not a lot of damage overall. Now at the back there are still some bombers surviving, spears holding against the sirens, and the mortars are being eliminated one after the other. Where's the death mage? Yep, the death mage is still here with the Fate of Buna plus Spirit Leech, but not sure how much use he can be in this kind of battle. Oh, Fate of Buna on the side here, trying to delete the sirens. Not a bad choice. A Wraith Storm bombarding the Amethyst Wizard, but that's not gonna be enough to finish him. Probably better just to bombard like the infantry, because the Amethyst Wizard will just be flying around. But of course, with the focus fire from other missiles, maybe he'll be slaughtered. Anyways, in the front line with the crossfire of multiple handgun units, the halberdiers will be eliminated, and the Empire front line is getting thinner and thinner, unfortunately for the Empire of Men, leaving only really like a single half health halberdiers and also a Boris Todbringer as the only bastions of strength remaining on the battlefield. But Boris, even with his 85 armor plus a little bit of missile resistance as a character, he is still not able to, he's still not immune to all this crossfire here, especially when the handguns start to crossfire, then he will be deleted. Anyways, at the back, Amethyst Wizard, seeing the carronades are quite exposed with nothing at the back to protect them, will be diving down, hoping to eliminate to shut down the vampire artillery. But the vampires just doesn't care. Yes, the carronades are some of the crew members are fighting the Amethyst Wizard, but the rest of the cannons are just firing. Yeah, speaking about vampire leadership right there. And with that, only Boris really is on the field, and he will be extremely prone to all of these handguns shooting. Like even the last of the halberdiers are finished off by the pistols and handguns crossfire. Scurvy dogs chasing down routing units, having the mobility advantage here. I do think that not bringing any mobility is perhaps a mistake from on the side of Saber's Magnum. Like, War Wagons is a great unit for sure, don't get me wrong, but without mobility to handle enemy mobility, then a lot of these missile units just can't keep up with the... Yeah, they would just get overran by a bunch of dogs, monsters, and all that. Boris is still fighting, but army losses is approaching. No, well, it's not army losses yet, because there's still a good chunk left, but once the handguns start crossfiring on Boris, he simply cannot dodge every shot, especially in point blank range. Yep, there goes him. There goes him. There goes him. Wait, Khorne kiting actually works, Jayama. Like, if you go full hounds, full dogs, like, I mean, that might actually work. It's not really kite per se, but a Rohirrim build with full mobility and rush enemy, and then once they hit the right targets and did the damage, they just pull out and just hit and run again. That actually can work. Just that I can't make it work due to my lack of micro skills. For the army performances here, Mortar's not doing great here, being sniped out by carronades. Probably definitely an interesting line of thought against the Vampire Coast, but I do think that mortars might not be the best unit against the Vampire Coast. Rest of the army, Boris did minimal damage really. Not sure why, but he was fighting a whole bunch of animated hulks. Yeah, right. He didn't have a good target to fight. Mostly just fighting dirt cheap animated hulks and infantry, zombie infantry. Instead, the Amethyst Wizard did more damage with the Spirit Leech and Fate of Buna. And the front line got nuked by bombers, so unfortunately not much can be said about them. And for the Vampire Coast army of Coitus, oh god, the handguns did so much damage, cross-firing everything in the vicinity, and also snipe out Boris in the end. Yeah. The front line not so much, the pistol front line not so much, bombers still did. Oh wait, no, one of the bombers got deleted without doing anything. Yeah, basically the bombers took the damage for the handgunners, and the handgunners did the damage, and carried the game. Also, Carronades pressuring enemy mortars, definitely a good choice. Yeah. And Count Noctilus didn't really need to do much here, just dropping summons here and there, and perhaps, yeah, just dropping summons here and there, really. Alright, last two games? Yeah, last two games. This is a semifinals between Bjorn and Coitus. Oh god, oh, Vampire Mirror with very similar armies on both sides, really. What do we have here? Sirens. Both armies have a bit of Sirens, but of course, Coitus brought more Sirens. A shit ton of bombers on Bjorn's side, and both armies going for max animated hulks and more mobility on Bjorn's side as well. While, actually, both armies going for quite a bit of mobility, but Fellbats on Coitus' side, and Bjorn is going for. Wait, that's Bjorn, right? Yeah, Bjorn is going for more scurvy dogs. There's no artillery whatsoever, so both armies have to approach close enough for a shootout or just a straight up melee brawl. But it seems that, wait, just let me make sure these players are who they are, because I am definitely confused. Okay, Bjorn is having Count Noctilus, Coitus going for Count Noctilus, and Bjorn is going for the Empire Fleet Captain. Okay, alright. Coitus moving around, shifting the army to the side so that they will be leaving a little bit of distance between the forest and their flanks, I assume, just so there's no mobility springing like too much of a surprise here. While Bjorn is circling around as well. Yeah. Bjorn is also circling around the front line so that he doesn't get outflanked. And while he himself is sneaking through a bunch of scurvy dogs around the battlefield, trying to go for to hit them in the back. Alright, it's time to fast forward as both armies are slowly trying to reposition their army and get a more favorable position for engagement. In the front line is a bit of a shootout between pistols versus pistols. Whoever gets the first shot has the advantage here. But yeah, not much is happening other than a shootout. Ooh, actually, Count Noctilus does have an advantage by dropping in some summons at the backline, tying down part of the tying down part of the zombie pirate gunnery mob, the pistol mobs, and also doing some minor damage to the bomber mobs. On the side, Sirens are pushing in with the support of Lamprey's Revenge and the Vampire Fleet Admiral. Absolutely nuking the Fellbats, who are sacrificing themselves to tie down enemy units. Sirens might have to fight Sirens here, although Bjorn is getting an advantage catching those scurvy dogs without them reacting, and well, the green scurvy dogs will win. And Bjorn is having quite a strong flanking maneuver, but the front line of the engagement is definitely going in the favor of, actually it's going quite evenly, but perhaps slightly in the favor of Coitus, as he's able to just rack a whole bunch of bombers with a combination of his animated hulks and summons. Basically, both armies are paying their attention on different positions of battle, although Now the flanking maneuver of Bjorn is countered by a swarm of sirens holding back enemy units. Yeah, it's a whole mess. While on the far side, both armies are still going on a shootout. Animated Hulks, Bjorn is counter-punching hard now with his own melee troops, stopping Koita's melee push as well, and the right hand flanking seems to be going. The sirens are. It's a mess. I can't really tell which one's getting the better engagement here, but the armor piercing of the siren seems to be working quite a bit of damage on the Lamprey's Revenge, while they themselves, due to a lack of magic damage on the other side, they are overwhelming the enemy sirens and just kind of holding this flank. But good news is that Scurvy Dogs have managed to flank around and shut down some gunnery mobs, and more Scurvy Dogs are flanking around. Some of these gunnery mobs are summoned onto the world here, trying to shoot up enemy units, but probably a regular zombie mob summon is probably better, because they are just cheaper and you just want them to just tie down enemy units in melee anyways, and their slightly better melee stats would be quite handy in doing some free damage to the... Wait, that's also a summon mob? Oh, it's just summoned versus summon versus summons. I don't know what is what now. Anyways, on the far side, it seems that Bjorn has secured his left flank. Two zombie pirate bomber mobs have survived, and they should be able to nuke away the handgun mob in a quick hurry. And just a wider front line, really, just a wider melee front line and more mobility really comes into the favor of Bjorn right now, as Koitus, his handguns are a bit of a liability, being tied down by Scurvy Dogs, and all that makes them ineffective. And then with the melee rush going in favor of Bjorn, he is able to overwhelm the defenses of Koitus, and every time I say that word, man. Anyways, Vampire fleet captain charging in, and but she's not gonna enjoy the fight against Count Noctis, and the Siren defenses are faltering a bit on this left flank as well. Just with the sheer healing from the Lamprey's Revenge, really, and the lack of armor on the Sirens, relying on their physical resistance, but then, well, 55% physical resistance is not enough against so much damage, overwhelming them. But yeah, at this point you can see that it's pretty favorable for Bjorn right now. With only Count Noctis left on the field, his opponent really can't turn the table back, and Bjorn will be emerging victorious, approaching into the grand finals, which is a battle between Skavens versus Vampirates, and the Skavens will be the only Skaven in the entire tournament, Shogunik. Now for the army performances, oh, I forgot to highlight the Death Gods. Definitely a great choice in cutting down enemy units. Just, yeah, 163 kills, man. Solid stuff. Flashhounds, Scurvy Dogs, definitely a good choice as well, just to overwhelm enemy units and pick apart enemy units by their maneuverability. What else? We have a bunch of zombie pirate deckhand mobs here. Not deckhand mobs, but gunnery mobs. There's some pretty decent damage, nothing too substantial. It's basically quite evenly matched in terms of zombies versus zombies. It's the additional units, the Scurvy Dogs, the Death Gods, and the Lamprey's Revenge that tip the balance here. The Sirens really didn't do enough to hold back the line. They are not exactly the sturdiest unit after all. That is rather unfortunate for them. And yeah. What else? Yeah, the handgun mobs are a bit of liability in this battle, as Bjorn's army is just going for a full speedy rush, overwhelming their front lines, and just flanking around, recharging, picking apart all those ranged assets. And yeah, and we'll be moving on to the final replay in this final replay in this stream, a grand final of the Tabletop tournament between Shogunik and Bjorn. One is the Skaven army and the other the Vampire Coast. At this point, I assume both players' army builds are quite familiar for everyone, so I'm not gonna introduce their army core. And yeah, it is yet another Skaven versus Vampire battle. I swear, there are 2 vampire army here, and both of them has been through quite a few battles, as they have won quite a few of them. So, man, vampires are strong, with all the healing and stuff. Okay, final battle. The army build of Shuganik is still the same. Wait, did we just? Wait. Oh wait, no. This is. Wait, we've already seen this. Oh shit. Oh no. This is the grand finals indeed. Oh wait, we've already seen the grand finals, and yeah, I accidentally cast the grand finals before everyone else. Oh, my mistake. But yeah. Wait, where's the rematch between? Oh, right. Well, we've already seen the final match. Due to my mistake, but yeah, that should be the end of today's stream. I hope everyone enjoy it. Yeah. Oh, how long have we been streaming? That's 2.5 hours. All right. But yeah, over the next few weeks, I don't think I'm gonna be streaming that much, because landlord wants the entire house to move out, so I will be going on a house hunting and all that, and yeah, I'll still try to like maintain a regular schedule for casting and recording for videos, but streaming and hosting tournaments, that kind of stuff, it's not something. I don't think that's something I can do right now if I still want to maintain a regular uploading schedule. But yeah, I think I might be casting some replays from possibly some ODM tournaments, but other than that, it's gonna be mostly recordings, and perhaps even a slower recording upload schedule than usual, like 1 video in the middle of the week and then a bunch of best of 5 series, and that's about it. But yeah, either ways, I hope viewers, you all enjoy today's battle from General Eisenbart's tournament of the tabletop. Big thanks to General Eisenbart for letting me cast all these replays, and also definitely big thanks to him for hosting these tournaments. I do look forward to the next one. It's been a fun one, although I got wrecked twice as the Kislev player, as the only Kislev player in the entire tournament. Not exactly the greatest pick comparatively, but yeah, it definitely mixed up the meta quite a bit for certain factions. Unfortunately, we are still seeing a lot of meta units. But yeah, that should be the end for today's stream. I hope everyone enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next one. Tactical Lich signing out.